You literally were sliding in to home plate at the last minute, but I called you safe.
I'm here, barely.
Yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't even 7 yet, and there I
yeah,
was.
you made it. We have managed to not really be late again for nearly 227 plus shows.
What is going on? I got my Facebook notification. I got my Twitter notification. I think we're good to go, right?
I think we're good to go. We've got quite a bit to talk about. Obviously, hiding our pets and how that relates here locally, not just, from the Trump debate, which we've got a funny little video to play for that when we come out of the break. So we're going to talk about that. And hey, I have to issue an apology. This is
Uh-oh.
becoming a recurring theme. I think that's 2 apologies in 60 days. I don't usually like to apologize for anything, but I'm going to issue an apology to Bubba D, whoever Bubba D really is.
You're apologizing to Bubba D. Okay, I'll just say okay, and I'll leave it at that. We'll get there when we get there.
And we're going to do a little debate analysis from the Haughton mayoral debate and just talk about that for a few minutes. It was 2 hours of the debate, went really well. So, we'll talk a few minutes about that. And then we got to talk about that dadgum charter commission and the updates from there, as well as the good sheriff and his tax increases.
Oh yeah, I heard a little bit today. Some people talking about taxes. They was even taking a couple of shots at Bobby, and
Oh,
I was trying to explain to him a little bit. And but anyway, yeah, people still wound up about taxes, and I don't blame them.
Um,
It should
I
be.
I don't blame them either. Taxes going up, whether it's your property values going up through reassessment or actual rolling fours like the good sheriff has done, and the what is it, the school board and maybe the police jury and what's that your favorite organization? The port authority. They might roll forward.
Well, I'm uninformed about the police jury because you got to sign up for, the Zoom thing or whatever to be able to watch their videos. I mean, maybe I'm stupid or something. I don't know, but I can't find a video to watch their meetings.
Uh, we'll have to look back into that. I'm gonna get on my soapbox about that some more. Remind me about that when we get to
Well,
it.
see,
But
they
anyway,
they they have figured out how to, be in compliance, I guess, with the law to show the video, but then you can't follow up later and watch it or something. I don't know. Maybe, I need
almost
to check
like
into that.
another parlor trick sleight of hand, like those blasted lawyers keep doing, and we're gonna talk about that as well with the Charter Commission.
Oh
So.
yeah, oh yeah. Well, let's go to the countdown and let's come back and let's get right straight into it. Thank goodness I ain't got no cats or dogs in Bossier City.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, folks, y'all know the drill. If you've been watching the show, we are going to take about a 2.5, 3 minute break. It's shorter than it used to be. While we're doing that, tag and share. We're going to give an analysis of the Charter Commission meeting in case you didn't watch it or you're confused. We'll try to make you less confused. But anyway, we'll talk about that in about 3 minutes, and we will be right back.
It is. Oh, good grief! I got it.
We're
Okay, I'm
already
done.
back. I'll
Oh,
remind everybody, you're the one that wanted the shorter intro, so you got it. Hey, I saw a couple of comments from Cassie. How did y'all like the new tune? We played that what was it, a couple of shows ago or whatever, or before the debate. Anyway, we're gonna turn that into a full-fledged music video.
yeah, and interestingly, you should all know that it's one of the watchers of the show that submitted that to us, and they didn't want credit for it. Maybe one day they'll want credit, and if they do, we'll give them credit when they say, "Hey, I want credit for that."
Yeah, and we'll probably release it for download in case you want to turn it into a ringtone. We'll do all sorts of fun things with it here in the next few days. So anyway, all right. I don't even know where to start. I am about Bossier City Council and term limits and charter commissioned out. What about you, Mr. Lott?
I think everybody is. I think everybody is fed up and about had all they can take of all of it. But the fight goes on. We always said, this wasn't going to be a short fight. It wasn't. It was going to take a long time to get through all of this, and that's true. I
Yeah,
mean, it's just
it's a long-term war, not a battle, folks. And this is just one phase of that war. But anyway, I digress. All right. Hey, let's do something cool. I mean, I posted show graphic, which has got and the show title, Hide Yo Pets. I mean, so in case any of you were under a rock and didn't watch the former President Trump and Vice President Kamala, whatever she says, however she says her name, Harris debate, like the best, most memorable quote out of that was about the eating the dogs and the cats. And of course, the memes sprang up. Like the meme factory went into overdrive. Would you like to see my favorite video meme of all of this?
let's see your favorite. I'm curious. I had a bunch of favorites. There's some really good ones out there. I mean, man, this was like awesome. But I got to see yours. What is yours?
All right, here we go. Let's roll
it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
People of Springfield, please don't eat my cats. Why would you do that? Eat something else. People of Springfield, please don't eat my dog. Here's a catalog of other things to eat.
They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the
Okay.
people that live there.
It's almost
They're eating the dogs.
30 seconds.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people
Oh,
that
that's cat turd.
Oh, but wait.
in
Hold on.
Springfield. They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
You think we have problems in Bossier City? I think they have worse problems.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And
Okay.
So, how does that relate to Bossier City? Because that was like, what, Springfield, Ohio, if I remember correctly?
Yeah.
And there was actual city council footage of people complaining about this or eating geese or something?
That's right. Now
Okay.
it's been a big old brouhaha, right? So you've got all of the mainstream media, they're all saying, oh, there's no truth, there's no facts, there's no nothing, that's all fake news, it's a lie, it's not true, never happened. Trump's evil, his VP is eviler, that's all y'all need to know, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Except there's, some other evidence out there.
Oh,
And
really?
we'll show that here in just a second. But what brings us to this and why is it, what does that matter to Bossier City? Well, surprisingly, we got a tip, from LeCag, Louisiana Conservative Action Group, about a Bossier City elected official who happens to be the only elected official in the whole state of Louisiana whose name appears on a list. And
Really? Well,
take
let's
it
show
from
the
there.
letter. Yeah, let's show the letter here. So I'm going to pull this up on the screen. This is welcoming refugees, and we do have a source link for this, but this was a letter sent to President Biden. I hate to say President Biden, but I guess I will. This is a legit letter. This is not fake news or anything like that. And we'll post the whole thing, but I highlighted a couple of key areas. It says, as elected leaders of our communities at all levels of state and local government, we write today to express our strong support for welcoming and resettling refugees in the United States. We affirm our commitment to safeguarding U.S. RAP and American values of welcoming people seeking safety. Now, I gotta say, I don't necessarily completely disagree with that. I'm for immigrants as long as they're legal. But we all know the problem here, and as you know, the governor over there in Texas, what's his name, Greg Abbott, has shown us time and time again, you give them an inch and the federal government gives them 1,000,000 miles a day. As in 1,000,000 illegal immigrants coming over, however many it is.
So apparently, the only elected official in Louisiana that wants to bring more, migrants, or they would say that they're asylum seekers or whatever, wants to bring more illegals, is our own Bossier City Councilman, Mr. Darby. He
Yes.
in fact, I think he wants to bring more of them to Bossier City.
Hey, he's calling on the president to protect our nation's standing as a leader in welcoming refugees by ensuring the refugee settlement program is resourced, robust, and sustainable for years to come. Now, this was signed by various officials from, I think, all 50 states, but I just, for our purposes, highlighted our own Jeffrey Darby, city council member, Bossier City. So watch out for yo pets. They're coming to Bossier if he's got anything to do with it.
Now, a lot of people no, Cassie Rogers, this is not a joke. It's
No,
dead
we're
serious.
not joking. Yeah.
Jeffrey Darby is the only elected official from Louisiana that signed on in Louisiana. Now, I'm sure there's probably more, but I mean, the only one is from Bossier City, Louisiana, on the Bossier City Council. Now, he carries a big stick on Bossier City Council. I mean, in fact, there was the secret meeting where, what was it he was saying? What?
Oh, something about something was acceptable or susceptible, or you people, I don't remember exactly.
You people were susceptible or acceptable or something to that effect. I mean, I'm not convinced. And he may have had a secret meeting about this, and they're wanting to bring in all these refugees to Bossier City. And people are probably saying, you guys, that wouldn't happen in Bossier City. That wouldn't happen in Bossier City, right?
Oh, sure, never. That just couldn't happen. Couldn't be anything near. I mean, how would they get them here? Surely they wouldn't bust them through. Surely they wouldn't have them at a local airport.
Well, I've got a couple of links that I want to get into, and I want to show y'all how actually possible it is. But I don't know which next link you've got in line.
Well, I don't know. Do you want to go to the Twitter link, the YouTube, City of Springfield, or do you want to do the replay?
I don't know what
your choice.
I don't know what your two. I see your cursor. I don't know what your other two are, so I don't know how they'll fit with mine.
Oh, no. That's just Darby's name showing it, but okay. I'll link to that later. So it's your choice. You tell me.
We'll go right there.
Okay, go to the x.com. All right, hold on 1 second. And let me share screen, and hopefully that works. Yes, it does. Okay. Let me make sure we're unmute because I'm assuming we need to play this correctly. Correct?
Yeah, and I want y'all to tell me what you think the likelihood of a Bossier City Council meeting going like this if you showed up at the Bossier City, or let's just say, let's not let the Bossier Parish Police Jury out of this. If you showed up to either of these meetings, what do you think the likelihood would be of the meeting going the way this meeting goes?
Let's see. Where
the individuals we're discussing are coming from, where their point of origin is? Because you're treating them like lawful U.S. citizens, which they are not.
Okay, so I'm gonna cut it off because we've had 3 people to come up. I'm gonna cut it off because we have no reason, again, we have no reason to launch an investigation or to treat people differently because of how they look. There's no reason for it.
Who said that?
Well, that's just what I'm saying. I just said that. Tiffany just said that.
Okay,
so
I didn't say that.
But I said it. But there's no reason for us to discuss this any further in
These
this
individuals
meeting.
came from Haiti.
Are valid concerns that we need to
How
get
are
down.
valid concerns, Laura? People come here all the time. We
These
visit
people came here
Birmingham.
from
We
Haiti.
visit
Haiti
other.
is a failed state.
We
Their
visit
president was
everywhere.
assassinated in 2021. There
We're
is
done.
no way the State Department can
We're-
vet these
We're
individuals.
done, and I'm
You should
gonna
not
ask
cut
this
him
to.
off. Please let him talk.
You had a
shut
chance.
up
I
and
was
let
very
people
specific.
talk.
Okay, I'm gonna ask all of you to leave because this meeting is over. If having no other further business, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All right, second.
Second.
All in
Good to
favor?
know.
They're sitting up there lying.
Good to know. Don't want to hear the truth.
So here's the thing.
That sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah, it sounds a little familiar. I mean, but the thing is this was a town, I think it was Alabama. It's a town that is conservative in nature. I would describe Bossier as being conservative in nature. And, just basically you had citizens that were coming up questioning about busloads of migrants, illegals, asylum seekers. Pick your poison of how you want to describe the people who cross the border without permission, invaders, whatever you choose. These people went to their local governing body to question about these people just being dropped off in the middle of their city. And, with negative consequences happening, they're bringing them to the attention of their elected leaders, and their elected leaders not doing anything. I'm just saying, Jeff Darby has signed a letter. A Bossier City councilman signed a letter advocating for bring more. Come on with it. It don't matter. Bring
Come
them
on
all
down. Bring them on. Yeah.
So,
Wow.
a lot of y'all, do you think you will hear any of the other councilmen make any negative comments or say that we don't have to worry about that in Bossier City, or we're going to stand against that? Where are the other councilmen? Will they object to more of them being just dumped off, or any of them being dumped off in Bossier City or Bossier Parish? Do y'all think any of them will do that? No, I don't think they will. I think Jeff Darby is the lone voice to advocate for bring as many as you like. Let's bring more.
That's very interesting. All right, hold on just a second. I've got a little tech issue going on here. My mouse is deciding not to work on the website. So keep talking for a minute.
Yeah. So to the point, I've got another video, and this one is actually from the city of Springfield. I went just like we do with Bossier, and we go to our local, except for the police jury, who you can't just go to their videos anymore because obviously they don't want the public to see, or they want to make it hard for you to be able to see. That's why they've fashioned it the way that they have. I actually went to the city of Springfield because I wanted to see for myself. Did citizens go to the meeting and make a claim that these, again, migrants, asylum seekers, invaders, whatever you want to call them, were they in fact, was there any testimony by citizens on the public record to say that it was happening? And what do you know? The first meeting I looked at, I got a citizen. So I marked the cut and I got it ready to play if you have a mouse that's functional.
My mouse has decided to go nuts and not let me go switch mice. I'll be right back. Talk for about a minute.
Okay. So you want me to talk for about a minute while you're leaving? How does that work? I've done it to you, but anyway. So what do y'all think? I'm curious. Do y'all think that it could happen in Bossier, or do you not? I'm watching the comments and I will read them as I see. Val Baker says, I wonder if he even knows. What do you mean? Do you wonder if he even knows? Does he know that he signed on to the letter, or do all the other councilmen know that he is agreeing or professing that, hey, if you want to have them come, have them come? Dead silence. It's almost like Rex when he was talking at the council meeting. Mic drop.
Let me see if I can get this to play nicely.
I don't do very good just talking by myself, obviously.
You can't ramble on aimlessly to yourself.
No, I obviously I
But
need my wing.
you've got 100 and something people here to chat with.
Yeah, but they're not. They're commenting slowly. Paul Black says, "Look to Chicago for what it does for a large city. It'll break a city." Saw a council meeting in Chicago today where people were losing their minds. In fact, they were interrupting the council meeting, screaming and hollering and getting nuts. Jessica Maddox, we've been basically shut down in charter commission meetings. Yeah, that is true. Alice Boyer, why is our sheriff allowing this into our community? Well, Alice, I wouldn't say that he's allowed it into the community, but I think sheriffs as a whole have saw the financial benefit of being able to, at least in Louisiana, and I'm going to show you a little bit here in a minute, to take in these migrants or these illegals because they make more money in incarcerating and holding for ICE these illegals. They make more money than they do for people who commit crimes in our state. And now my light just went out. How about that? This is the night of weird things. So there is a monetary incentive there. And Judy Stewart says, hey, I got my red, white, and blue card today. Okay. Is that a new, I don't know, red, white, and blue card? You'll have to expand on that. I don't know what that is. And Price says, go to our airport and see what passes through. Yes, Ann, you're 100% on the money. And I have a video queued up of that time that I did. We got a report about every single day about busloads of again, choose your description, being dropped off at the front of the airport and then being shipped to all places all across the country. Who knows how many have been being dumped off in different areas of even our parish? They could have been dumped off in, Bossier City, Benton, wherever. I think people are getting tired of listening to me yap. I'm getting tired of listening to me yap.
Well, I agree, but I don't understand exactly what's going on here technical wise yet. I have lost control of my mouse.
D.D. White Clark chooses the term illegals, and Jessica Maddox says,
better.
Big Brother is listening to you two. Yeah, Jessica.
Yeah, they're trying to cut us off.
We have known that from day one, and they did cut us off early on, but I think maybe it hadn't happened in a while. But I think maybe once they finally learned that, look, we don't care, we'll go after Republicans and Democrats alike, anybody's fair game. They hadn't jacked with us as much.
All right, I am back in business. So, do we want to go to the airport illegals first? We going to the YouTube Springfield?
No. So yeah, let's go to the Springfield meeting, and we'll have to go. You have to drop it in about the 110 mark. You have to do that with the little slider. And there's a guy that got on. He's a resident there and commented, and he rips them pretty good. And he talks about the fact of, and a lot of you probably heard it about the fact he talks about them going to the park. They've got a park where they got geese and ducks and all this crap, and they're going there and they're literally harvesting the ducks and geese at the pond and walking through the park with them in their hands. They've already
give me just a
twisted
second.
their necks and killed them.
Let me pull this up. All right, here we go. So, here we go.
110-14. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a little bit early, but he's coming right up.
All right. I'm 28 years old and I'm a social media influencer, and I just be on TikTok and stuff. I do.
Hold on just a second. Not that screen.
Well, There
That
y'all go,
screen.
everybody. There's
Yeah.
our show notes.
Yep.
YouTube.
You just saw it.
I think it's like kind of odd that like a guy like me has to come out from doing what I do on a daily basis to have fun because I see what's going on in these streets and I see you guys just sitting up there in them comfy chairs and suits and I'm getting out here every day and I'm broadcasting this and you guys are just sitting up there in suits or something. Like I really challenge you guys to get out here and do something. These Haitians are running into trash cans. They're running into buildings. They're running into they flipping cars in the middle of the street. And I don't know how, like, y'all can be comfortable with this. Like, I don't know, like, who's getting paid from it. I honestly feel like someone's getting paid from it in the background. You got a bunch of people on a bus getting dropped off at a gas station to come down here. I know a single mom that FaceTimed me this morning at the welfare office that really need something. And it's nothing but immigrants over there. And I don't even want to, like, seem like I'm coming down on the immigrants because it's the people that's bringing them down here. Because wherever they're at, that's what they're used to, bro. They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them. Like, y'all get the Highway State Patrol down here every week, and then y'all get like a task force for the Highway State Patrol, and they look for guns and they look for dope and this and that and the fourth. That same people that y'all got riding up and down Limestone doing U-turns, pulling people over for blinkers and pulling people over for like going left to center and like a couple miles over, like y'all can take them same people, the Highway State Patrol, and you can take them in every single one of their silver Chargers and Dodge Durangos, and y'all can take them to Sunset, and y'all can park them right over there, and y'all can teach people how to drive since the Highway State Patrol knows so much about.
Okay, wait a minute. I just watched this again, but I've got a conclusion to make.
And what would that be?
He's a racist.
How's that work? I gotta say this politically correctly. How does that work?
He's a racist because he's talking negatively about these Haitians. He's accusing them of eating ducks out of the park. So he's got to be a racist.
But wait a minute. The news media told us that there was no basis in fact in this.
Well, that's right. All the mainstream media says that, it's not true. There's no credible reports. I mean, but you see right there, Springfield City Council meeting, August 27th of 2024.
And that's Springfield, Ohio.
Yeah, that's their town council meeting. It's in the official record, and there's a report right there in the official record.
And just in case anybody wonders, if we get cut off here, we are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and X. So we get cut off one of the platforms, go find us on the other one. All right.
Yeah, but they all say that if you're talking about them eating, animals, then that you're automatically it's a racism. That's a racist thing.
Well, or you just meant what's that phrase? Batshit crazy?
Well, I mean, that's debatable. I'm fine with that. I guess I could wear that with a badge of honor if somebody says that about me. But okay, but look, can this happen here? I mean,
well, I don't see why. I mean, it's not like they're busing immigrants through our hometown already. I mean, surely they avoid our little old hometown of Bossier and Shreveport area, right?
Well, just so you know, Northwest Louisiana, we have more of the choose your term people pass through our area from incarceration by ICE than anywhere else in the country. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's no way to there's no way for us to compete with the captures that they catch at the border. No, but once they're here, I mean, they ICE sends a lot of them to be housed in Louisiana, and then after such a period of time, they distribute them out from there. And we've got the video kind of sort of to back that up, but we're not going to show all of it, but we are going to show some of this. And to prove to you this is happening every single day of the week, that a bus just happens to show up at the airport in downtown Shreveport from somewhere it originates here in Louisiana, and dumps a load of people who are not legal citizens. They crossed the border. They didn't have permission to cross the border. And you'll see what the person says that I talked to and how they described them, they said that they were legal. No, they're not legal. If they were legal, they had permission to come across, but they didn't have permission to come across. So I guess we disagree. Play it, Dano.
All right. So what do you want me to jump to? The 104 time period? I didn't look at the notes.
146.
146. Okay. Sorry, I was trying to play catch up from the technical issues. Here we go.
Well, it would appear there's a lot of folks here. How's it going? What's all this group? Y'all school group? No English? No. Oh, okay. Where y'all going? Huh?
No English.
Don't know where you're going?
No.
Congress? Hey, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Got lots of clipboards and stuff, or you know English.
Yeah, we speak English.
Who's all these folks?
They're asylum seekers.
Asylum
I
seekers?
recognize her.
So did they
Recording me?
I bet you do.
Recording?
Yes, I am recording, absolutely.
With the news station?
Yeah, Louisiana Watch. Yeah, we are a Louisiana-based organization that we do journal stuff all over the state. Interview
Journal
lots of
stuff.
politicians. Who are you?
Amateurs.
I'll give you my card.
Francis.
And if you want to talk to me,
I'd love to.
for time.
Well, I'm curious
Francis
about all
Kelly.
these folks here.
Yeah.
So they're
So you can email us. That number is WhatsApp messages only. But yeah, like these are the kind of stuff.
are these legal immigrants?
Yes.
They came across legally?
Yeah.
Right. How? They did that through the
I'll
federal.
talk to you during the interview because I have to print tickets right now. But
You're
yes, I'd be
printing
happy-
tickets?
I'm happy to explain about the legal process to do with asylum.
You're printing tickets. That's what you just said.
Yeah, I'm printing tickets to print a ticket.
Yeah. How are you doing that? Are you with an airline company or
No,
something?
we're with an NGO. I just gave you our card.
Here with an NGO, and so NGOs have the right to print tickets for anybody, however they want. Who's paying for the tickets?
Their families are.
Yeah. Who's paying for the tickets?
Their families.
Their families are paying for the
Yeah,
tickets.
their families are just sending you the ticket to print so they can go to their family.
Okay, so taxpayers are not paying for the tickets.
No.
Federal government, no.
No.
Oh, okay.
They're paying for the tickets.
Well, that is good. I got no problem with that. Yeah.
We're an NGO, and most of our funding is from churches and individuals and private donors.
Louisiana Advocates for Immigrants in Detention. Francis
Immigrants
Kelly.
in detention.
Duke Lowry, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So I'm gonna stop it right there for a minute. You know, she came to talk. Well, she had to do it by video conference to the PEC one time.
Well, I don't remember that. I mean, you do, but I don't remember that. And what issue was that she spoke to the? And when we say the PEC, we're talking about the Republican Parish Executive Committee. Yeah,
Right.
Ryan Haygood, wrong. Taxpayers are on the hook. She's working for an NGO, and probably they're getting grants and stuff that came from the federal government. So yeah, indirectly, probably we are paying for it. Have I looked it up? No, I haven't, but you're probably right.
Yeah. Hey, I want to shift gears for just 1 second and address a comment from YouTube. It says no one is eating cats. I'm glad to hear that, Swag Pecan, because I'm sure, and I love Chinese food, so I'm sure all the Chinese restaurants are glad to hear that we no longer have to associate Chinese food with, eating cats and dogs and all that sort of thing, because I love me some Chinese food. So I'm just so glad to hear that nobody's eating cats except up in Springfield, Ohio.
Well, did you hear the story of the news reports out of Houston about them finding multiple cats that had been killed and in different locations, and it was kind of
Hey, folks are getting hungry, and
An epidemic down there.
might
Well,
be an epidemic. What's that? What is that deal that is it a drug or whatever they get on now, where they just go absolutely crazy and literally act like a zombie? Oh,
well,
bath salts, bath salts.
yeah. Well, is that like legal weed or something? Yeah,
I
they
don't
soak.
know.
Well,
Never
legal
done
weed.
bath salts, so.
Well, that's what they. I think that's part of what they call legal weeds. I don't know.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We got to go. I'm gonna
Okay.
feed. I'm gonna feed the troll. I can't stand it. Challenge accepted. Something off-putting about shoving a camera in a bunch of migrants' faces. We have the courts to determine the validity of their asylum status. No reason to dehumanize them when elites are worse. Now, did anybody see Duke dehumanizing them? And I got news for you. They're in what's considered a public space. So, tough. All right. I digress. Sorry.
Well, I'm just curious to whomever that person is.
Nah.
I don't know who it is. When they cross the border of our country, did they come through, the airport, and did they
Well,
provide an ID,
uh,
or did they use a freaking rabbit trail, in the dark of night to evade, our government from being able? I mean, if that's the case, and I can freely go to Mexico and go get me some, true Corona ponies and not have to talk to their government and pay for them there, and then be able to cross back into the United States to bring them back without having to pay tax on them. Please direct me how to legally do that. I
yeah,
I would love to be able to do that. I
right,
mean, but I'm guessing you probably can't articulate that for me. So, how is it that anything that they have done to this point is legal?
right. Yeah, and look, like I said from the beginning, I'm not opposed to legal immigration. You know,
No.
come through by the Statue of Liberty like they used to do, or whatever. But anyway, do it legally, and I'm all for it. But the problem is, I don't think these folks did. Now, I could be incorrect, but we have a lot more video on that subject. We've teased it out before about showing some of this. We just hadn't been around to it. So,
Okay, we got
oh wait,
another response.
I can't. I gotta feed the troll. Hold on.
I love it. I love it. Well, I
I
like
re-
being challenged. I
I
appreciate
res-
this. Whoever you are, I appreciate it. I really do.
I respect your guys' commitment to independent journalism. I gotta correct you there. We are not journalists. We are amateur journalists at best. Political pundits in an amateur status, most likely.
I want to correct you. We are good amateurs.
Oh, hey, yeah, we are damn good at what we do, and that's being very amateurish every Tuesday night.
Exactly. There's a difference.
That's right. All right. But I'd have to believe it'd be better serving addressing those in positions of power instead of punching low. Hey, we punch all over.
Well,
In
we
a fight,
are.
all bets are off.
Wait a minute. We are punching to power here with this story and linking it to all of these folks being dumped into our local airports every single day, and to the people that are working this event here, that lady that I was talking to, you know would you prefer these people to be being dumped out on the street? That's actually an argument in the video. We've said that one day we're going to really dig into this, and we're going to do a comprehensive show on that. And that was one of the points that they made. They said, look, you shouldn't be opposed to what we're doing, because we're working to move these people forward. Otherwise, they would just be dumped into your local communities or whatever. But here's the problem. They are getting dumped into people's communities. Springfield is Haitians. Aurora, Colorado, that that video of that council meeting, this is some town in Alabama. They're getting them dumped into their communities. Rex, do you know that statistically, I think it was that in Springfield they dumped approximately 20,000 Haitians into Springfield. Do you know what the difference in votes in the 2020 election are said to be in Springfield, Ohio, for between Trump and Biden?
Gosh, let me guess. Somewhere around 20,000.
It was it was 15,000. Right
Oh,
at between 15 and
you know,
20,000.
hey,
Isn't that
do a
ironic?
little rounding, and there you have it.
Isn't
That's
that
odd.
ironic?
It is. It's just got to be chance. That's all.
It's got to be chance.
Yeah.
So,
And look,
but
I just want to say this. We're not taking a top-down approach to what we're doing. If we were doing that, we would be really picking on Trump, Biden. We would pick more on MJ, etc. No, this is a bottom-up approach. If you want to take King Kong down, King Kong being the problems and corruption in our government, better not to punch King Kong in the face, better to take his knees and feet and ankles out from under him first and start at the local level. Hence, the local stuff here in our very own Shreveport Regional Airport out there, and the city council and the police jury and everything else we do. So, thank you for your
okay.
comments. All right,
I'm gonna
soapbox
give
off.
I'm gonna give A Swag Pecan. That was the name. A Swag Pecan. I'm gonna give you a bone here. So everybody, y'all can go cheering about, Walk on Water has attached the SAVE Act to, the continuing resolution to fund the government, right? Right? They passed that. Well, they didn't have to attach it to the CR, but Senate's not going to vote for it. Well, they're going to send it over to the Senate attached, the SAVE Act attached to the CR. The Senate's going to vote it down. They're going to send it back to the House. And guess what? Then they're going to remove the SAVE Act, send it back to the Senate so it'll pass. And more debt. I mean,
Well, kind of
that's what
sounds like
MJ's doing. That's the play.
sounds like our local government on a much smaller level. I mean, the Colonel's
Well,
been griping about this. Sadow's been griping about the Bossier City debt. It's like
it's
almost the
the
same but different.
it's the wag the dog to all of us. It's to treat you like a mushroom, and y'all all know how mushrooms grow, right? You feed them shit and you keep them in the dark. Pardon my French. That's the way it is. And if MJ does something different, if they don't pass it and then he sends it back to the House and he doesn't pull the SAVE Act off of it, I will eat crow the next show and I will say, you know what? The guy's got a backbone. But watch it. He's not going to do it. It's going to come back from the Senate and he's going to pull it.
That's interesting. Call of Duty, Rainbow Six Siege, The Last of Us. Anyway, I was just looking at a swag. Pecan, as Cassie says, his videos on YouTube.
Dang, y'all think that's where we're at? Y'all think we're Rainbow Six? That we're to that point? I mean, I'm just talking about Jeff Darby's he's good with them bringing them into Bossier and dumping them, I think. Signed on to this letter.
Was just
hey, let's bring more.
A little veiled swipe at Darby because, well, he was the one that was signing on to this letter, which we will post. Hey, speaking of that, I have to do my apology.
I think your apology may be premature in that, there's a lot of shots across the bow coming in because I think things in Bossier have reached a level where I don't know. I shouldn't say that, but if you want to go to the apology, we can go to the apology. But I think it's go ahead.
Well, so have you gotten a text message since the show that I should not apologize now, or you're just saying that in general? Let me parse my words carefully.
I gotta stop again. I'm sorry. A Swag Pecan. I don't know who this person is, but I gotta tell you, I'm thinking I like whoever this person is, and I can appreciate. The dialogue.
All right, so
look at what they just said.
Thanks, Duke. Hey, what about me? Thanks, Duke, for your willingness to hear out opposing
he does. He puts in here about old people, so he obviously.
Yeah. No, he was talking about you. You got it right. Says I'm obviously quite a bit younger than you, gentlemen. So perhaps our differing of opinions comes from the ignorance attributed to youth. Well, not necessarily. Hey, you got to learn somewhere. And so we do appreciate the comments, like we say, and we sincerely mean it, even if you don't agree with us. But that also means you might get a little pushback from us, but the comments are welcome.
I literally, somebody questioned me today. You remember the last show, there were some people were beating me up in the comments and they were saying like, what is Duke smoking, or has he been, something's happened to him? Because I was saying, I made a comment, something to the effect. I said, uh, look, I can sit down and I can talk with any of these people. And they were saying, says, look, some of these people you can't trust. They're evil. You can't trust them. How on earth would you sit down and try to talk with these people? Well, I want to clarify that. I do want to take personal privilege here and clarify. I I'm not saying I'm going to go break bread with these people, and I'm not saying that I'm going to trust them, and I'm not saying I'm going to be, big buds with them. But what I am saying, regardless of what my feelings are about their morality, their honesty, or whatever, I will go sit down and I will debate with them and I will talk issues. And you know what? There is the off chance that they may have a bad day and they may actually agree with me. I
Right.
won't close the door to sit down to try to find common ground. But once you've stabbed me in the back and once you've broke the trust and I have concluded in my mind that you're an evil person that doesn't have the best interest of our, hometown and our country, I'm sorry, you're more or less dead to me unless you change your ways and you prove it through your actions, not your words, your actions. Okay,
That
there. Got it off
that
my chest.
that kind of sounded like, what's that guy's name? Oh, Hal Bundy. You're dead to us.
It's just the way it is. Sorry.
Hey,
Anyway, okay, back.
so
I,
let
I
me
I'm
let me do my
sorry.
let me do
Apologies.
my
I'm sorry.
look. I don't do it often. Let me actually apologize. I think this was our original post. I've edited that post a couple of times, but the post was, I'm upset about your money that I spent, Bubba Don Williams. And I further put the quote, rumor has it that after seeing the reported expenses, Bubba Don is shocked at just how much money the gob has spent. After all, they could have built another tower of tax dollars monument to themselves with that much money. Now, that is a little bit of political humor and satire, although that quote came from the source of it, the original source of that quote was a pretty reputable source. But we got a little pushback from apparently city councilman Don Williams. He said that was a lie. So I did what we rarely do, but I edited the post and I put this quote, Bubba D, because this is the actual quote from the source. Bubba D upset about dollars spent on attorneys. That's exactly how the quote came to us from the source. And we think the source really means, I'm upset about your money that I spent, whoever Bubba D might be. So rumor has it that after seeing the reported expenses, Bubba D, whoever that might be, we're not saying it's anyone in particular, is shocked at just how much money the gob has spent. And we apologize to City Councilman Don Williams. Apparently, he is not pissed about the attorney's fees. He claimed our post was a lie. And so I can only speculate, we can only speculate, that he is just fine with the exorbitant attorney fees. And we don't have any idea who Bubba D is. So again, that's our speculation because he did say that our post was a lie. So, sorry, Bubba Don. We thought we had a valid source. But there's our correction.
I I I got no words.
Okay.
I got no words, but I'm just curious. I'm just curious that seems like a lot of attorneys' money. Is that the actual one? Because I thought there was a revised one and there was a new one. I'm not sure which
Well,
one
now
is the correct one.
that's the one that John Settle reported. And I think that was originally probably a public info request that maybe West Marriott or Sobo Live initiated, but Settle Talk reported it. And so I don't know how much of that money can be directly attributed to the fight that the Gob Network, the good old boys, are putting up against term limits and specifically retroactivity. But we do know they asked for that outside opinion from Keen Miller. We do know that I think they had some opinions from Neil Irwin, and that Weiner, Weiss, and Madison, at least some of that $244,000, I think, if I remember correctly, was spent on the battle against term limits by certain members of the city council, including Bubba Don Williams. So we can say that for absolute fact. I mean, that's not in dispute. Although,
Well,
to his credit, we like to give credit where credit's due. To his credit, Bubba Don has always been very respectful at the city council meetings, and he did vote to send the term limits as ordered by Judge Parker's self. He did vote to send that to the ballot, but of course, the rest of the good old boys, it didn't matter because they voted against that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I very possibly could be wrong here. So a couple of things that jump out at me. Keen Miller, LLP, that's the ones that gave the opinion, about the first term limits petition. Neil Irwin Law Firm. As I recall, and I may be wrong, Rex, let's tap into that knowledge that, okay, wait a minute, what was the poster's name? I can't remember that they were, A-Swag Pecan was talking about the old guy's perspective.
The
King
gray
Miller,
hairs.
yeah, the gray hairs. King Miller, no, not King Miller. Neil Irwin, we submitted a public information request regarding the rate charged to the city by Neil Irwin and the amount of money spent regarding the who was it? The lawsuit, the federal lawsuit from the developer down there off the
Oh
parkway.
yeah, Link Coleman.
Yeah, to which we weren't given that. We were denied that information. I'm just wondering, they don't delineate how much of this 3,300, which seems like a paltry amount of money, or the rate that was charged. Yes, Ms. Sellers, we do know that Neil Irwin is the attorney for the town hall, and I would. Do you want to go there about the Haughton debate and what took place there?
Oh sure. Hey, it's fair game tonight. Well, did you not see that video that I posted of us driving off the cliff?
I did see that, and
Do I need to stomp on the gas pedal again?
I think you've been on the pedal a little. It's my turn to drive. You've been on the pedal a little much.
This is just water. This is just water, but I am ready to step on the gas pedal.
Okay, you got to share the pedal a little bit. You've been on the pedal too much. You need to back off.
I was nice. I offered my apology, sincere apology.
Yeah, okay. We got to just move on. We
Yeah.
just got to move on. So, are we done with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they spent a bunch of money. They spent a bunch of money on attorneys. They spent a bunch of money, at least part of these legal fees, arguably even more because this was only through July 31st, so that wouldn't include some of the new lawsuit stuff to fight term limits. So in other words, they spent a whole lot of money on this when they could have been building more monuments to themselves. Right, Bubba Don? Right, Darby? Right, Jeffrey? Right, Queen David? Who did I leave out? Oh, yeah, that other guy, Vince Maggio.
Well,
all right. Now I'm through.
Rusty Mac Rex, you took Duke's training wheels off. Oh, Rusty, you have no idea. This relationship is I don't know. 1 minute I'm having to pull Rex's reins back, and the next minute he's having to pull mine back. It is a struggle either way for both of us.
These pesky Bossier City councilmen and their shenanigans.
I agree with you. You said it earlier. I'm tired of talking about Bossier City, but they just keep right on. I think they are the poster child for the rest of government in Bossier to thumb their nose at the citizens of Bossier. So when I show you the fact that in Springfield they, just piss on the citizens and what they bring to them, it's the same mentality in Bossier City. And, somebody was like, y'all need to get on the school board. Y'all need to get on the police jury or whatever. Well, I don't know. I think the worst of them is Bossier City. I don't think it's the worst of them is the police jury and the school board. I mean, at least the school board has term limits, but Bossier City, good grief.
Yeah. Well, we're starting at the bottom or near the bottom, and then we're working our way up. Think of it in terms of the millage scale. We're working our way up the chain as we go, slowly but surely.
Okay, so you built these notes, and I'm curious of how you want to frame this. Normally, it's me building the notes, and to your credit, you put a lot of work into this. So I have to follow your lead on the organization of the notes.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to be careful because I'm on a tear tonight, so I need to try, if at all possible, for me to stick to the actual notes tonight. I'm going to start with something that I found as I was researching the notes, and it was a guide for charter commissions, almost like a charter commissions for dummies. There's a guide out there. Did you know this?
For charter commissions?
Yes, there is a legit guide for charter commissions. It's put out by the National Civic League. And I mean, they have like a full-fledged how-to manual for charter commissions. I just randomly happened to find it.
Well, that explains a lot.
Yes, it does. But I want to point out, let's see. Let me get rid of those pesky lawyer fees. Let me switch screens here. I'm still recovering from my mouse issue earlier. All right. So I found this quote here. Whoops, let me scale it down a little bit. It might be hard for some of you to read, but this is straight out of the Guide for Charter Commissions, the 6th edition. Again, put out by the National Civic League, and we'll post the whole guide later. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it's like 40-something pages, but listen to this, Duke. See if this rings a bell, or Colonel, or Cassie, or hey, good, any of you in the comments that have been to the meetings or watched the meetings online, see if this rings a bell. And so the quote here that I've highlighted is, finally, a commission should not refrain from claiming power or including a provision in the charter just because there is doubt about how it will stand up in court. That kind of sounds like it's got a familiar ring to it. The powers of many local governments have been unduly limited not by the laws or courts of the state, but by the timidity of the Charter Commission or the Commission's legal counsel. I'm not saying that. That's literally in the Guide for Dummies of Charter Commissions.
Well, I don't know if you're trying to say by highlighting that the legal counsel is timid, because we'll show it here in a minute. I think we're going to talk about it, but I don't think the legal counsel has been timid in saying that, oh, you got to follow Robert's rules. Oh, you don't have to. Oh, you got to follow open meeting laws. Oh, you don't have to. I mean, I don't know. Would you call that timid? Is that what you're saying is timid?
I would call it confused. Or what did I call it? Was it last night before last? I've lost track of the evenings for these meetings. Oh, his cheap parlor trick. That's what I called it.
Oh, a cheap parlor. Yeah, you did use them words. I bet that got a rise out of somebody. But anyway.
It actually got a big smile from Jacobs, who was sitting there.
Oh, see, now you're going to create trouble in paradise. You're going to get Jacobs and Richard Ray. They're going to have a fist fight first thing in the morning. That's not going to be fair because Jacobs has been sick. See, you're wrong for that. I'm calling foul.
I'm just telling you what I myself observed. He was literally smiling when I read them the riot act, so to speak.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's let Juliana and Richard Ray go at it. My bet's on Juliana.
That would be a fun fight. So I'm not going to go through this whole guide, but and we will post a link to this. But this is the Guide for Charter Commissions 6th edition, put out by the National Civic League. You can Google that if you want to. Again, after the show or sometime tomorrow, whenever I get to it, I will post a link to this guide. It's literally like a how-to, for charter commissions for dummies type thing. All right. So let me see where I want to go now. So let's check those off. All right. So there's been some question about whether the Charter Commission is actually done. And I want to address that. So let me follow my notes to make sure I get this pretty much right. This is straight out of the Bossier City Charter. And I've highlighted the commission shall develop proposed amendments as soon as feasible, but not later than 18 months after being formed. That's really the only time limit specifically listed in the charter. Section 2104 says the city council shall submit any amendment or amendments as recommended by the Charter Review Commission to the electors of the city. Any number of proposed amendments to this charter may be submitted at any such general municipal election. So again, the only real time limit that the city charter gives is the 18-month time period. But state law, and let me see if I can get that up. I think this is LARS 33:1395.1 says, and I quote, the terms of charter commission members shall expire with either the adoption or rejection of the charter by the voters. In situations where no charter has been drafted by the end of the 18 months time period, members' terms shall expire or shall automatically expire. So the way I read that with my, amateurish Facebook lawyering abilities is that they're not done till it goes on the ballot and either gets voted up or down by the voters, or 18 months, whichever gets here first.
So basically what you're saying is that until the 18-month deadline, they can submit something to the council. And then if the council got it on the ballot within that 18 months, it failed, and then they could reconvene at its failing and pass something else to have a meeting, vote to do something else, then send it to the council, and the council could get it on the ballot again.
Wait,
18 months is 18 months.
That I think is correct.
So
be careful, Duke. You might be giving away the playbook.
Well, anyway, I hope nobody's no Haitians have come to my house. I might better go check on Bo.
Yeah, go check on Bo. If he goes quiet real quick, you might want to go check on him.
I might need to get my neighbor to check out on the street to see if they've dropped a busload out on the end of our street.
Yes. I couldn't imagine somebody being so angry at you that they would go get a busload of Haitians and drop them off by your house.
The good news is I think her dog would feed more Haitians than my dog. So
okay.
If you please check, please do. Thank you.
Oh, Lordy. All right. So let me see if I can go through some of this. I'm trying to get this video ready. Let's see. What was this? The 916.
Now, A-Swag, I'm just going to start saying A-Swag, not Pecan. I don't know what the Pecan's about, but anyway, A-Swag had a good question earlier. It says, what are the councilman's primary argument behind no term limits, aside from the obvious personal benefits? Are they simply defending it as a matter of freedom of speech and expression? Well, A-Swag, I mean, allegedly, I can tell you there's different motives from different councilmen. Allegedly, one councilman feels they're entitled to another term. Their service entitles them to serve another term.
Not our words, his words. Might be that same guy that was signing on for the immigrants. That letter that we showed at the beginning. You might want to go back and check his words.
Now, I use the words allegedly because I can't verify it. I can't substantiate that, but that's what a source has said that he has said in conversation.
I can verify he said it during an open council meeting.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember his exact words that he used. I know which council meeting you're talking about. I remember that. He did allude to that.
If you round up, it's close enough. Go check those comments.
Yeah, I mean, he did make that inference at a council meeting on live video. He did, but then someone else in another conversation, he went further,
Oh,
and that's where I say allegedly. I wasn't a part of that conversation, so I don't know for fact
sources say.
exactly. Sources say. I mean, so and then for the example of the king has said and went on record that he's not running again. Bubba Don Williams has said he's not running again. So I can only assume that if they're not running again, the only reason they're opposing it is just, by gosh, no way the citizens of Bossier City are going to affect a change without our permission. It's a power thing. It's a power
Hey,
trip.
ho-
Unless they're not running is a lie, and that they just want to continue to keep being in there forever and ever and ever and ever. You make the decision as to which it is.
right. All right. So I want to address a comment. This is a good question. Um, Coming in from the YouTube side says, where can I find the original council suggested amendments that started this charter commission back at the beginning? Well, that's a very good question. I don't remember there being any of those, which it
No.
kind of sort of states in the charter. But why would they follow the charter when they won't even follow judges' orders?
All right. So Cliff Notes for amateur journalists would say that the whole reason they started this charter commission, and I think as the legal process moves on and concludes and proceeds, I think we'll all learn that the whole reason they started the charter commission in the first place was to have a backup or an ability to stop retroactive term limits. That was the whole reason it started in the first place. You know, there were calls to have a charter commission that were legitimate to actually try to create or amend the existing charter to better a lot and correct a lot of problems within the current charter for the city of Bossier. And if you will recall and you think back about it, Chris Smith and I think Brian Hammonds and the mayor, right out of the gate, maybe the first year, and don't hold me to the dates and don't hold me exactly, but I think they made a motion to call a charter commission, to which all of the will include Maggio in with the graybeards, as Jeff Sadow calls them. They all opposed having a charter commission. It wasn't until the Term Limits Coalition passed or got the signatures to put a term limits provision in the charter that the graybeards then suddenly decided, oh, we've got to start a charter commission. Because I will tell you again, sources say they didn't believe we could be successful with a petition. They didn't think that was possible. And then when we did it, they were like, "Oh crap, they did it. How are we going to fight it?" Well, one of the ways they were going to fight it was they knew that they would have a majority of the votes. They could have a charter commission started and they could oppose it that way. And then ultimately in the end, they were able to route all of the pro term limits people, Preston Friedley, those folks out of there. And they were able to convince Judas that they were the greatest people that walked the face of the earth, and that they had no nefarious intentions at all. And I think
Well,
Judas learned the last meeting that he don't know shit from Shinola. Pardon
yeah,
my French.
yeah, Judas got stabbed in the back. Hey, Wes does bring up a good point I'd forgotten about. Jacobs illegally pulled an agenda item requesting a charter commission proposed by Hammonds and Smith in September 22. I seem to remember something about Hammonds and Smith requesting a charter commission, but there wasn't much interest in that, amazingly, back then.
Well, yeah, I mean, thank you for correcting us, Wes. I couldn't remember exactly how it went, but I was pretty confident that it was in around the first term that the Charter Commission proposal was put forward. And Haygood says Maggio is the biggest disappointment. He does not own an original thought. I mean, I am disappointed in Maggio in that Maggio threw in with the good old boys. He has thrown in with trying to subvert the will of Bossier City, the will of the voters and electorate in Bossier City. And when I say subvert, I'm saying, the charter says shall allow the voters to vote. Maggio doesn't even want to give the voters the option to be able to vote on it. I mean, here's
And
the thing.
again, it may lose at the ballot box.
It may lose.
Yeah.
But he, no different than the rest of them, doesn't want you to have the opportunity. He has sought to silence you. Maggio has sought to take your voice away. I mean,
and look,
there's
not
no
just that. Again, somebody asked us, what's being done about not following Judge Self's orders. Well, the answer is nothing.
Well,
I don't know. I mean, what's he going to do? Send the marshals down to hold them in contempt of court and go arrest them?
Well, it's flowing through the court. It's currently at the Second Circuit, and we'll cover that here in just a minute and go in detail. But there's going to be some old names that come up in the details regarding the case as it's going and as it has landed in the Second Circuit. One y'all are going to be familiar with. A majority of you have pulled the lever for this name to be a politician in Bossier, and they're now on the Second Circuit. And you're going
I
to
wonder who that could be.
You're going to have to own your vote, that you voted for.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Let's go to this Charter Commission meeting. I'm not going to go through the whole meeting. I mean, because we really don't have time. And honestly, I'm about sick of these meetings. But anyway, I'm going to the 42:15 mark. And this is where Sandra Morehart has already made her motion for what they're going to submit to the city council. It was a little confusing. Apparently, according to Richard Ray, he didn't have it until just before this meeting. According to the others, they didn't either, but I find that hard to believe. So I'm going to go here where Sandra actually gives a good summary over it, and she mentions the word poison pill, by the way. And Richard Ray is going to comment about it, so we'll kind of pause and start, and I'll give you the summary of this as well. So here we go. Let's see if I can hit play.
Madam Chair, I would like to make a comment. What this motion does is it allows us to move forward on the Bossier City Charter and pass on to the Bossier City Council. It pulls out those items that have been somewhat controversial or could be thought of as that poison pill that would cause the charter to not be approved. So we've pulled out the District A and B, or the Division A and B, for the at-large councilman. So this is a difference in the way that our voters would vote for the at-large. And in my mind, they have a right to vote whether they want that change or not in their charter. It is their voice. And then the second one is term limits, basically stating the same term limit terms, so 3 4-year terms. It does not have retroactivity in it. It does have sit out one term, they could run again, which makes them not the incumbent. It is the same as the state and the school board.
So I'll stop right there for a minute. Shall we comment on that for a minute?
I'm trying to think of how I would be nice. She's saying that she included term limits. Does she complete her sentence and say anything about the term limits, the people's term limits? Did she say anything about that? Because did y'all understand what she just said? She just said that people would be able to run 3 terms, sit out, and run again. Isn't that what I just heard?
Yes, that's literally what she said.
Tell me exactly where the term limits is, because it doesn't sound to me like there's no limit. I mean, it sounds to me like that if a person wants to be in there for 24 years, the only thing they have to do is sit out one time. No limit of 12 years. The question is, do y'all think someone should sit and hold one position for greater than 12 years? I can tell you, Rex, knocking on I mean, Lord knows how many doors. I'm not going to say how many doors I knocked. It was a lot, but I can tell you a lot of people felt like that our petition of 12 years was
Was
too
too
long.
much.
In fact, I had one lady slam the door in my face. She says, I won't sign that because that's allowing them to serve too much time.
Yeah, I had
Literally
that.
slam the door in my face.
The few neighborhoods and doors I knocked on, I had that mentioned to me. And here's something I just thought about. So none of us had this before the meeting. None of this. And if you go back to about the 20-minute mark, I've got it marked in the notes. She actually goes over her whole thing. And if you're listening to that word salad, without that proposal in front of you, it would be very difficult to follow along. So there's that. But I didn't hear anywhere in there where, and maybe it is, but again, we didn't have copies of it. Maybe the Colonel has seen it. You can correct me in the comments, or Cassie, maybe you've seen the written copy of all this. But who says that they can't slide from City Council District 1? They're sitting out a term, they could run for at-large and then slide back over into District 1 again, for example. I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay, from I would say that that's something that would have to be settled by the court. Now, the language of the petition says that, you know, your term limited 3 terms as a Bossier City Councilman. It doesn't delineate between at-large or district. It doesn't delineate that. But those are different races. I mean, an at-large is a different electorate than the district council seat.
Look, they've already ignored the will of the people. They've ignored their own charter. They've ignored a district judge. If they lose at appellate, I have a feeling they're going to ignore the appellate court, and they'll probably likely, based on their history, ignore the Louisiana Supreme Court if it gets to that level. What makes you think that they would ignore this?
But, well, I think you're mistaking. I think they feel confident in the outcome of a result out of the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. Now, why they feel confident there, we'll leave that to the viewers to decide once we get through going through that. But I think they feel confident that they'll get a favorable ruling there.
Probably so. Okay. Let's continue on. We'll get to that. Here we go.
And has been tested. So that's the reasoning behind my motion.
Madam Chair, can I?
All right, so here's Richard Ray's part of it.
Ms. Morehart, you answered one of the questions that I was going to ask. I didn't want to speak in the period of public comment, but let me just make sure that I understand, because the first time I saw this was tonight. So what you're proposing is that there be 3 ballot items. One would be essentially the amended and restated charter with all the recommended changes in it. The next ballot item would be a specific amendment on the A, B at-large districts?
Yes.
Okay. Which, just to make sure everybody understands, that's still, at-large would be the whole city. It's just right now, they elect 2, and as many people that want to qualify for that election can, and then they all run against each other. But under the proposed one, it would be, they would have to choose either A, which is the whole city, or B, which is the whole city, and then you would elect 1 from each. But you're proposing that be a separate ballot item.
Yes.
And you're proposing that because the question that I had, I thought maybe you were proposing it because you felt like, because it's on the same page as the term limit item for the council and the mayor, that it would, or at least for the council, that it needed to come out. But you're just saying that you want it on there because it may be an item that is somewhat controversial?
Well, I feel like because we've dealt with Chapter 3 and 4 separately from all the edits and the approvals, that it is important for our citizens to know there is a change in the way the at-large and councilman will be voted on. It's not a decrease in the number of votes they get, it's just a different way. And so for full transparency, I feel that the voters should be able to
Transparency.
select whether they want that change or not.
That's hilarious.
And so
Yeah.
then, and the third ballot item would be the term limit provision as adopted by the Charter Commission a meeting ago or 2 meetings ago or whenever that was.
Yes. So
All right, so I'm going to stop right there. Let me summarize. So let me get out my notes here because I had to go back and rewatch this to untie the knots in that deal. What she's proposing is 3 separate ballot items. One is an updated charter that would include all of their edits or changes, except the at-large councilman and term limits. All right, and she listed all those various edits earlier in the meeting. The second thing that would be on the ballot, this would be a separate ballot item when you go and vote, would be at-large councilmen would be moved to A and B ballots and elected separately. So that would be a separate ballot issue of splitting up the at-large councilmen into A and B. You would be voting to take that action in future elections, which arguably would be the first one would be in the spring, I guess. All right, number 3 was another ballot item is term limits 3 at 4 years, no retroactivity. They can take a timeout for 1 term and then run again. That's what she proposed or made a motion for. She did get a second, and then they voted, and we'll all see the vote here in a minute.
Okay, so here's what I want to ask all of y'all. I want y'all to all, before me and Rex take a position or say what we think. Rex and I have deliberated on this, in private. I want to know what all of y'all think. And it's a serious question. And Rex, I want us to pause a little while because I want everybody to articulate your answers from you viewing this and your observation. Okay, let's go ahead and jump ahead. They voted to pass this.
Yes,
correct?
They did. Yes.
They voted to pass this.
Except Jeter.
Well, okay, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, but it did
We'll
pass.
get to that
yes.
in a minute. So they voted to put all the other amendments to the charter. That'll be 1 vote that'll be on the ballot. They put the question of whether or not to divide the at-large districts to A and B. That's an amendment. That's a question. And a proposal of term limits, that's a question as an amendment. 3 different votes, correct?
Yes.
Now, we've heard frequently at the council meetings Richard Ray talk about that we're voting to adopt a completely whole new charter. Do y'all think that this motion here that they passed and what they voted to send to the council is amendments to the charter, or do you believe that it's voting to adopt a completely new charter? I'll wait for y'all's answer of how you understood it.
I wish I had some Jeopardy music to play in the background. Do 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 do.
This is a test of the internet to see how fast your responses come in across our software. And as it stands now, so far since I uttered those words, there has only been 3 responses. There is over 100 people watching. So to only have 3 responses, either 1, y'all are afraid to answer, or 2, you don't know the answer.
Or 3, they're just lurkers.
That's the best I can do. Okay,
Yeah,
so now
that was pretty good.
We're up to 6.
Yes.
We're up to 6. Keep coming, guys.
Yes. Up here we go. A couple more. Takes them a few minutes. Let's see. Partial charter and 2 amendments. They shall to adopt a new charter. Voting to the charter. Yeah. So Yeah, comments are coming in. People are speaking up. They're catching the drift.
So y'all are thinking, y'all, I don't know. What was the question? That's my wife. What was the question?
Huh? Oh, yeah. I don't know what the question was. We were just pausing to allow everyone to reflect on this. That's what it was.
So were in all of that, were they proposing amendments or were they totally trying to adopt a whole new charter? Jeff Sadow's always, I mean, this freaking guy
I know.
is he on
He's
mental
on point.
steroid? He's on mental steroids or something. I
He
got to
must.
tell you.
What's the good brain food? Let's see. Carrots, you're supposed to get better eyesight. What's the one for brain?
No, that ginkgo whatever something. I see the commercials all the time. It says, "Take this and you'll be smarter." This dude is overdosing on it. Okay.
Yeah, he says, outstanding point. The commission by law charter can only do one or the other, amend or replace. It can't do both. Oh, somebody's been reading those
Exactly.
statutes too.
Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner. The point
Yeah.
is, they proposed, I mean, we'll go ahead and conclude this here. They proposed a set of amendments and then two separate items that were amendments. And their intent was for all of these to be active at the same time. So, therefore, it wasn't one big lump sum total complete charter thing because the state law says, and we'll go ahead and go there, obviously, Rex, the state law says that, if you adopt a completely new charter, there's two processes, like Jeff said, I was saying, you can either amend the existing charter or you can do, in my opinion, they just went down the road of amendment. They didn't go down the road of completely replacing the charter. They went down the road of amendment because they proposed 3 amendments. If they had proposed one total change, that would be adopting a whole new charter. They didn't do that. They proposed 3 amendments.
Yes, they did. Hey, I'm going to jump ahead in the comments. I didn't really
Wait a
have this
minute.
one.
I'm sorry. Hold up a second.
Well, it's relevant to what you're saying, but so I'll
go
play
ahead.
it. Well, yeah. So here's one from Richard Ray. This was, I think, after the meeting was technically adjourned, but listen up.
Do 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 do. Hello.
Yeah.
Is anybody out there?
Yeah. Did you hear that, folks?
I didn't hear nothing.
Possible multiple ballot items. Hold on.
Send a third amendment that
All right.
may be on the same ballot, maybe some other ballot. Those are things.
Well, let me get to the right screen. Why didn't you tell me, Mr. Lowry? Okay, here we go. Let's try this. Third time's a charm.
Look, you're in charge. I just,
All right, here we go. Third time's a charm. Listen to Richard Ray carefully.
Court case out there that may send a third amendment that may be on the same ballot, maybe some other ballot. Those are things that we don't control. But I think the next city council meeting, Ms. Nottingham, is it next? It's not tomorrow, but it'd be the next week.
All right, and let me play one other comment, and then we'll go back to your thoughts. So this is a question that I got in because they had already adjourned, so it really wasn't a meeting. I could ask what I wanted to.
I may have missed it in some of the beginning meetings, so you may have already explained it, but could you review why the entire city charter has to be up for vote rather than just the amendments as the city charter dictates in 2104?
Well, it doesn't have to be, and that's what we've talked about, but the charter that we're acting under right now, the 05, was done as one ballot item.
Right.
And so I've heard that argument before, but if it can't be done that way, that's the way it was done the last 2 times. The time before it failed, in 2005 it passed. It can be done either way. Frankly, Mr. Moncrief, that's a good reason for you to go vote for the new changes because we cleaned all that up, and when you vote for that new charter, it'll correct all
If
that.
y'all weren't throwing that poison pill in there, I might just do that, Richard.
So,
all right. So, oh God, comments. Hey, good. So Jeff Lee turned out to be deep state. I didn't know either, Ryan. I didn't know either, and I hate it because I like Jeff. I really do.
Yeah, he just turned out to be Juliana's friend. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, he got infected. I mean, what can I say? David Crockett says, Ray says you are choosing among 3 charters. So Ray, Richard Ray is going to articulate that if you vote for the first and for or against the second or the third, all of those votes and the result combined is a vote for a new charter. I beg to differ. So I would defer to somebody smarter than me in Jeff Sadow and say, Jeff, is that a way that you would interpret that? Because I don't interpret it that way. I interpret it if we've got 3 votes on 3 different issues that will change the charter. To me, those are all amendments. The result of the 3 votes doesn't adopt a completely new charter replacing the old charter, but rather they amend those are amendments to the existing charter. That's the way I view that. And that was my question to all of you watching, as well, of how you viewed it, because there's a difference. And let me give you the reason why. If it is a vote to replace the old charter, you're voting to adopt a completely new charter. Guess what? The old charter is null and void and completely disappears. So why does that matter? That seems like regular stuff. The Term Limits Coalition petition, Richard Ray, I'm 100% confident, has said it in a previous meeting, was done under the rules of the old charter. So therefore, if the term limits petition made it through the court, it would be dead on arrival because it was done under the old charter. There's a new charter. That was done under the old charter. It's not the same. That would be the argument they would make. Another day in court. So that's why the race of the Charter Commission to get this revision of the charter. Now, whether Ms. Morehart made a mistake in putting this motion the way that she did forward or not, I don't know. And again, they feel emboldened and they feel that the judiciary is in their pocket. They don't have to worry about nothing. Granted, Parker Self, Parker Self is the reflection of, Lady Liberty, I can't say enough about that, but let's just say it the way that it is. The odds are in their favor when they take things to court that it's going to favor what outcome they want. And I would contend that's probably the way they see it in the Second Circuit. Yeah. So by all means, any of this that they can push to lawfare, it's your tax dollars that they can use to do it. And they already know that a lot of the judges are going to side with them anyway.
Yeah. So I want to point out a couple of things here. Number one, this guy is Glenn Langley, as in Langley Parks, as in the law partner of none other than the princess herself. And I got to tell you, Duke, I hate to do this. I know this is going to be just the antithesis of what you want to hear, but I got to give the princess some credit.
Okay. Look, I was going to caution you. He's not an elected official, and it may be a setup to get you to say something negative, so he can sue us. Because, as you know, we've gotten not one threat this week. We've gotten multiple threats this week already. So I can see them. They're playing by different. I got to ask you though. Different deck of cards this week. They have upped their game. Go ahead.
Well, all right. So I want to say something positive, but before that, we've been on for an hour and 36 minutes. Have we gotten a new threat in the last 90 minutes?
Not yet, but the show's not over with.
The show isn't over yet. So that is Glenn Langley, as in Langley Parks, as in law partner or whatever, is a managing partner, I don't know, whatever, of the law firm Langley Parks. And he got up and just gushed over the Charter Commission's dedication. You can go listen to it. So he didn't have anything negative to say. What I was going to give the princess credit for, that she finally figured out as we get, well, halfway through with the Charter Commission on a legal basis, she finally figured out that, oh, maybe I should follow their playbook, because she had a couple of folks in the audience, including Glenn Langley, to get up there and block us from speaking because of their four-speaker. So he gave a great speech if you're on the Charter Commission and, you know, you want to get your ego stoked. He gave a great speech for that. I'll give him credit.
Okay.
Nice. I seem to be a nice guy.
So I'm going to say to y'all, when you consider these things, and look, you can disagree with me. I'm fine with that. And obviously some people are disagreeing with me on comment I just made a minute ago. That's fine. You can disagree with me. I don't care. You're entitled to your opinion. And I respect the fact people have different experiences with people. And, you know, I'm interested to hear other people's side of the story on different things. I really am. I want to hear why you come to the conclusion about some things that you do. You know, I mean, look, iron sharpens iron. I mean,
Yeah.
Ryan Gaddy used to coin that term, and at first I was dismissive of that analogy and that I mean, that's biblical.
Right.
But as time has went on, you know, I have appreciated that a little bit more, because when I debate or argue with somebody that I disagree with, and if I listen to their argument, you know, their iron sharpens my iron as I learn what they're talking about. It's freaking the truth. But what I would say is me, personally, Duke Lowry, when I look at somebody and their position and the debate that they make, what is their interest in government? Why is it that they make the argument that they make? And when I make arguments, I'm not making any money off of government. I don't
Yeah.
work for government. If I was still a fireman, I mean, you could say, okay, if you're advocating for pay raises for public safety, then you have a little bit of a bias.
You have
That's
vested interest in it.
That's right. That's fair. Glenn Langley, guess what? He and the princess, they make money off of government.
Oh.
So
Oh.
they have an interest. They have an interest in the proceedings of politics in Bossier and the Charter Commission. They have an interest.
Wait a minute. See, I was nice and not condescending in what I said about him, and
What was I lying?
and you caution me to be careful. They're very litigious. He's literally a lawyer.
Okay, is anything that I said inaccurate?
No, it's all 100%
Does he not?
true.
Does he not have an interest?
An agenda.
He does
Yeah.
have an interest.
Sure.
All the rest of us. Does Cassie make money off the city of Bossier or Bossier Parish or the sheriff's office? No. Does not. Does David Crockett? No.
No.
Do you?
Nope.
No. Do I? No. We don't.
Yeah.
None of us do. But does
All right.
he? Yeah, he does.
He's got a vested interest in it. So, of course, I couldn't stand it. I couldn't let Richard Ray get by with his comments at the last meeting. So I decided to get there and speak. Instead of iron sharpening iron, I was just sharpening my claws up there with this. Here we go.
We have a limit of 4 public comments.
Did y'all hear that? She can't count again. This is the second time they've done this to me. Oh, well, you can't. We've already had 4. No, you've had 3.
Oh, who was that?
That's
We have not had 4 and 4 against is the way your rules read.
not, our rules do
That's
not
not
read
correct,
that
Carl.
way.
You're sure?
Yes.
So who all was?
We've had 3.
You've only had 3 people. How
Had
can y'all
3.
not count
Yeah,
every
one
time
more.
I come up here?
I was
I'm
agreeing
not,
with Ms.
I'm not
Moore.
addressing you, Richard.
We've had 3?
We've had
Okay.
3.
The Colonel, Cassie, and the gentleman here, correct?
Go for it.
That's right. That's twice. At least y'all are consistent. Rex Moncrief, 2208 Hickory Ridge Drive, Bossier City. So
You are an
this
ass.
is more procedural
Golly,
about
I
the
love
minutes,
you.
but On January the 16th, 2024, at about 19 minutes into the meeting, Richard Ray said, and I quote, "This is a public body, and you will be bound, in my opinion, by open meetings laws. And so you wouldn't be able to meet outside of a meeting with a quorum, or it will be considered a violation of open meetings laws." Richard Ray's open meetings quote is even in the officially published minutes. As most lawyers tend to do when they're on defense, he's done a masterful job on the mic at confusing the issues at hand. Case in point, at the last meeting, he tried to use revised statute 4217D in a sleight of hand trick that the Charter Commission was not a public body, contrary to his own statements as the acting city attorney. As he well knows, citizen advisory boards or groups have no binding decision-making power. However, the Bossier City Charter Commission does in fact have binding decision-making power. Section 2104 of the city charter states, quote, "The city council shall," and words matter as we've been repeatedly told, shall submit any amendment or amendments as recommended by the Charter Review Commission to the electors of the city. So the public who may be watching this, do not be deceived by the cheap parlor tricks. This Charter Commission is in fact a public body and subject to open meetings laws, just as Richard Ray stated on January the 16th, 2024. One other point, y'all are all worried about Preston Friedley's issues potentially with the ethics board. You wouldn't be worried about that if this was not a public body. Thank you.
Up the mic.
That's a
Any
good
comments
point.
from the commission?
I'd not even considered that. I'd not even thought about that one. That's a good one.
That's why the little princess trying her best to keep me from talking. How's she going to argue with that? And I got to say, you couldn't see it from that camera angle, but Jacobs had the biggest grin on his face when I was spouting.
Now, see, there you go. You got to pit Richard Ray and Jacobs against each other.
Saying. And
They're
look,
not even going to be able to go eat breakfast tomorrow morning together because you're going to put a split between them.
Look, let me say this and we'll move on. I got to say, I walked up there when I got the messages that the live feed had gone down. I walked over to the side, went over to Richard Ray, quietly told him, hey, the live feed's down. He immediately texted the people upstairs and all that, got on it, came over, because I started videoing just in case it stayed down and they didn't have a backup recording. Then he came over to make sure and let me know that the video feed was back up and could I see it on the phone and all that. So, even though he and I are going tit for tat and we obviously vehemently disagree on this and many other things, he's a likable sort of guy that's on the complete opposite side of the fence. There. See, I'm full of compliments tonight. Compliments and apologies.
You are just.
It's an apology tour.
What a guy you are! I got to tell you, I'm impressed. I'm glad I'm able to be a co-host on the show with you. I mean,
I said it, and I even said that without much sarcasm. See, I'm trying to reform myself somewhat.
Okay, where are we going from here? Are we going to the
know.
September 11th meeting? Because I've got some that I want to go there, and it tunes in right with what you already had lined up in notes. Because you guys want to follow this one,
okay?
And the princess is not going to like what we're going to go, where we're going to go here.
This could be fun. So look, give me just a second. Let me do a couple of clicks and get over there. I'm going to set it to live review.
Oh, I'm not there. You can
okay,
go with it.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to switch screens back. All right, where are we going? To the 36-minute mark?
Well, you had you had notes in the 21:52 mark is where you had it started. Because I think you look at that Horatio Brookings, recalcitrannies. Yes.
Rex, was that the first time you beat the buzzer? No, I usually am done with the buzzer in plenty of time.
Horatio, on this note, you spelt it correct, but the correct term is recalcitrannies. We changed that. Keep up, brother. Keep up.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, the 2152 mark, I've got my comments about RS 4219, which is what I was just on my soapbox about. So this is the meeting before the one we just watched. And here we go. We'll listen to this. It's not like I like listening to myself on my own show. Here we go.
Rex Moncrief, 228 Hickory Ridge Drive, Bossier City, Louisiana. So mine's a little bit easier than that. In your new business, you have agenda item 1 that says consider action to amend something previously adopted regarding proposed changes of the Bossier City Charter. RS 42, I think it's 4219, says that each item listed on the agenda shall be listed separately and described with reasonable specificity. So I want to know who considers to amend something previously adopted to be reasonable specificity.
Mr.
Whose
Moncrief,
decision
that's a motion under Robert's rules. That's under Chapter 35. A motion to amend something previously adopted is Robert's rules language. I didn't come up with that.
Okay, well, I'm just going by the statute because state law actually overrides Robert's rules, but
Well,
whatever.
Okay.
So
That-
anyway.
If
just
that
making
statute even applies to this group, which I don't think it does, that's okay.
Ooh, listen up.
Wait, say that again?
Listen
That
up.
statute doesn't apply to this group,
The
but we've
open
done
meetings
it
law
anyway.
statute, the sunshine laws for the state of Louisiana don't apply to this group?
That's
Is that what
correct.
you just said?
That is correct.
Thank you. Good soundbite.
Yeah, it's because it's correct.
Good soundbite.
What number name is that?
Open meeting laws
Anybody-
don't apply to that body. Okay, got it.
Wait,
Now-
he's not done. Hold on. Hold that thought. Listen up.
Before we move on, can I just address something so that
Sure.
we can clear the air?
Absolutely.
Mr. Moncrief brought something up, and as the body can attest, I said at the beginning of this process 9 months ago that I wasn't sure that some of the provisions of the open meetings laws were mandatory or applied to.
All right, hold on. I want to repeat that. There's a
Before we
purpose
move
for
on, Can I
this.
just address something so that
Sure.
we can clear the air?
Absolutely.
Mr. Moncrief brought something up, and as the body can attest, I said at the beginning of this process 9 months ago that
Listen,
I wasn't sure that some of the provisions of the open meetings laws were mandatory or applied to this group, but that we would, in order to have maximum transparency, we would do it the exact same way that the council does, and we would do it and go over and
All right.
above.
now
Is
I
that
want
what he
y'all.
said?
I want
I
y'all to
don't
hold
remember
up.
that.
You know, the amazing thing is there wasn't a live feed of that meeting, but fortunately, Wes Marriott had recorded that very meeting. And would you like to hear, let's see, it was right after Juliana asked about the time limits. Let's see, was it yes, we have to follow Robert's rules. Oh, where is the, yes, here we go. It's at the 19-minute mark of the January the 16th meeting. Now remember what Richard Ray just said that he said. Okay, remember that. Here we go.
Want to explain to the group, if you will, that this is a public body and you will be bound, in my opinion, by open meetings laws.
All right, let's listen again.
Want to explain to the group, if you will, that this is a public body and you will be bound, in my opinion, by open meetings laws.
All right, but wait, there's more. Hold on just a second. Let me switch screens. Because not only that, in the minutes of that meeting, the officially published minutes that are on the Charter Commission's website, I got to admit, the secretary, whoever's playing secretary for that meeting, did a good job. Mr. Ray reminded the group they are a public body and will be bound by open meetings laws and should not meet outside a meeting with a quorum. So, was Richard Ray lying? Or was it just a parlor trick and a sleight of hand? Which do y'all think? Parlor trick or straight up lying to deceive the public?
Well, maybe. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I mean, that's something that Judas said the other night. I remember hearing that. Maybe, just maybe, he has since studied the issue a little more and come to the conclusion that they are not bound by open meetings law. And now his opinion has changed. Kind of like, you know, AGs or different AGs have different opinions.
Those are just opinions. They really don't matter. So, by extension, Richard Ray's opinions don't matter.
I don't know. I'm just saying. So, I'm going to stop right there and be nice because I don't know that I can say anything not nice after that.
Yeah. Okay. So let me switch back. So I apologize, folks. We are going back to the 9/11 charter meeting. And this is where you've got, at the 36-minute mark, you've got something stamped there. Do you want to play that, or was that from the previous notes?
Yeah. So based off of what you were saying, you know, it was after that I went up and spoke to the meeting. Now, look, Rex and I mean, we've talked about it, and we think that, you know, probably we need to not come to the mic and talk as much and from, you know, but I mean, look, we're citizens of Bossier. You live in Bossier City. I don't. I live in Bossier Parish, but look,
you got a business here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to articulate Juliana's arguments about limiting my speech because of that, but I come up to kind of sort of back up what you were saying, because as you were talking and I was sitting there and he was saying what he was saying, I just went to the AG's website and looked up some opinions real quick, and I come up to read them, and there was a little bit of there was a few things that transpired here that lead into some other discussion that I don't know, some of y'all may find offensive, but we'll let you make the determination and I'll explain it, and let's go with it.
All right, just tell me when you're ready to stop.
A little slow. My back's a little wore out. Duke Lowry, 1835 Glen Cove Drive. I wanted a point of order to the city attorney that made reference a while ago to advisory groups and not having open meeting laws apply. I wanted to point to Attorney General's opinion 05-0424. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll read the last sentence of that one and then the next one. The Mayoral Advisory Committee, however, must still comply with both the open meetings and public records law. AG Opinion 05-0317. Advisory groups created by political subdivisions board do qualify as public bodies, within the meaning of the open meetings law. So you may be right, but I do think you might ought to look at it twice.
Well, and
Well,
Mr.
we
Lowry,
still conform to it.
yeah, that's what I was going to say was, I just am making the point that the body didn't have to, but we have done it and done it every single time and have done it over and above. But even though it didn't have to, but they have.
Even though they didn't have to.
Right. Well, still the public, whether
the law is pretty
you
clear
think that you do not have to or whatever, I mean, the public has a right to be involved in the process.
I agree.
I will acknowledge that to one of the statements made earlier, the dissemination of the changes that you were making through this whole process, they weren't readily available to the public. Every charter commission meeting, people that did come here and participate really were like deer in the headlights as to exactly what you were doing. They didn't know, and if they did know, they didn't find out until they got here. That's not the way it's supposed to work. They're supposed to have the opportunity to know before they come here. I mean, and I see you smiling, and I've seen Jeff smiling a whole lot. I know a lot of y'all find this entertaining.
I was smiling at one of the visitors I noticed in the audience.
I don't think it's right. Well, maybe you should take selfies like with Jeff. I mean, it's a show for y'all too.
Where's your neighbor tonight, Duke?
Ooh.
I wanted to say hi.
Ooh.
That's okay.
Okay, stop right there.
Whoa. All right, you got to explain that one.
So there's a lot to unpack right there.
Where Where's your neighbor,
So,
Duke?
okay. So at the start of the meeting, what is not on video, although I will tell you that I have a video if he tries to say that he didn't do it. At the start of the meeting, one of the commissioners was all proud of himself and was taking selfies up there. And I literally, I'm sitting there in the audience. I was like, I can't believe this. He's sitting up there taking selfies of himself. So I videoed it. I have a 9-second video. I have it right here. I have a 9-second video of him taking selfies of himself up there. I mean, I don't know. I thought it odd, and it bothered me a little bit. So then when I get up there, he is smiling like a mule eating briars. He's looking at me. He's smiling like as if he thinks it's funny. And that caught me off guard. I immediately I looked over there at Juliana, and she's doing the same damn thing. She's smiling like a mule eating briars. And I'm like, they're not even they're not even listening to what I'm saying, and which I
No,
knew that before the night came on, that they're not listening to anything anybody from the public says. They could care less what anybody says. It doesn't matter what anybody says. They have what they're going to do. And so at that point I was just like, what the hell? Well, you just need to go take selfies with him or whatever. But then the princess, makes the comment. She's like, where's your neighbor?
Like a little child.
Where's your neighbor, Duke? Where's she at? I want to talk to her. Okay. That's what I really want to talk about. That I want to take issue with.
All right, let's hear it.
So at the previous meeting, and a lot of people would not know this, my neighbor lives next door to me, actually went to a charter commission meeting, and I don't know, I wasn't there. I haven't even watched that video. I don't know what she said or what she didn't say. But what I do know is what transpired before then. And what I do know is what, the princess just said at this meeting. I can only deduce that the reason the princess made the comment that she made was that she wanted to seek to intimidate my neighbor from ever poking her head up to make a comment again. That's why she said, where's your neighbor, Duke? I want to talk to her. And seeking to intimidate, I mean, does it sound like that's out of the realm of possibilities? I mean, look, I think we had somebody on here that she, as a result of her actions, got them fired from their job. They were let go.
Right. That is right.
And Kyle Schultz. And I would point out, I don't know if we've shared it, but
not yet, but we will.
Yeah, but I think there's something to try to help Kyle Schultz out, because I think maybe there's a need there to help them out there. So it's not a stretch that person is in need of help as a result of Juliana's actions. I'm going to bite my tongue here because I was fixing to say something unprofessional.
Was she alluding to your neighbor, Miss Jerry?
Yeah.
Am I out of line for saying that?
She makes this comment. Where's your neighbor, Duke? I want to talk to her. So now she wants to try to intimidate my neighbor who came to a council meeting. So I think a fair question for people should be is okay, Duke, what did you prod your neighbor into coming to the council meeting?
Well,
no, but hell no, I didn't prod my neighbor to come talk at the council meeting. That's not the case. Y'all want to know the truth? Let me give y'all the truth for Miss Queen Juliana Parks. There, I said your name. I didn't call you Princess. I said your given name, Juliana Parks. So Juliana Parks, I want you to eat and chew on this for the public to know. I want them to know who you are. And here's the thing. My neighbor, her husband died recently, who was a B-52 pilot, who retired airman, Barksdale Air Force Base. These folks don't cause any problems for anybody. They're good citizens of Bossier. These are who these people are. Her husband died recently. And she doesn't lean on me much. She's been my neighbor for over 20 something years. And, she asked me one day, she said, I normally, I had my husband to be able to lean on, to have questions answered for me about things. And I want to learn more. I never had to worry about this or things going on in our community. I was always able to lean on my husband. He stayed on top of those things. And now that he's gone, I wanted to be able to, uh, learn more. What do you suggest I do? And I said, here's what you can do. I said, it starts with just simply asking a question. If you have a question and you want to know something, you simply go to these meetings and you just ask a question. That's all you have to do. It starts with one question. And I told her, I said, I promise you the follow-up questions and the answers, it'll all just go from there. That's all you have to do. And you know what? And that's all I told her. I didn't tell her Juliana Parks, the queen, is tied at the hip, has to David Montgomery, has a monetary interest in her continuing to be a police juror and being the law firm that represents the sheriff's office. She's tied with David Montgomery. I didn't tell her any of that. I told her just simply, just go ask a question. If you have a question about something, that's all you have to do is go ask a question. Well, you know what? She did that. And guess what? Juliana Parks wants to go after her to silence her.
Imagine that.
So,
look, let me give you my quick observation real quick of Miss Jerry, just from the few brief conversations I've had with her at the meetings. I don't think that's going to work out so well for you, Julianne. The little princess is not going to have a great conversation like you think, if that's what your goal is. It will probably be much like the one in the parking lot of a city council meeting. I have a feeling Miss Jerry is a very nice, but hard to intimidate, very stern person who has her own opinions.
Well, she said at one of these charter commission meetings, and she said it, I think it was to Shane Cheatham, the only people basically, and this may not be the exact words, but that the only people scheming was you. Juliana, I mean, who's scheming now? Who is it that's seeking to silence people? I mean, you're the one doing those things. It's you. I mean, it's you.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, let's talk about the combined expenditures of you and your husband over the course of the last year between your expense account with the police jury and his expense account with the city of Bossier. Oh, that's right. City of Bossier, y'all have not responded to our public information request that came before other public information requests that got that. Why the disparity in responding to us and responding to other people? That's an interesting question. But the combined total amount, I'm wondering how much. I'm just curious. Let's ask all of y'all, the 100 and something plus people watching, how much money per year do y'all think that your elected officials, and in this case, a judge of Bossier City, a city judge of Bossier City, and a police juror, how much total combined travel and expenses should they be allowed to spend per year? I'm just wondering what y'all think that number should be. How much should they have?
A city judge?
A city judge and a police juror, how much, what is a number that is a number for y'all that's acceptable for travel and hotel and all those quirks? How much money should the judge and the police juror be able to spend per year total for travel and all that stuff? How much should they be able to get? I'm just remember public service. They are public servants. They are working for your benefit. So I'm just wondering how much y'all as electors should they be able to spend per year? I mean, I'm just curious of what y'all's thoughts are as an appropriate number. I know the number. I already have the number. But I know that y'all don't know the number. And I'm thinking Juliana and her husband should try to explain to the public, the city judge, as to how much, or justify how much money per year they spend of Bossier taxpayer dollars on their travel. I'm just curious. Somebody sent us something today, as a matter of fact, and
Really?
a screenshot. I got to find it because I know we're not ready for this.
We can get ready.
I got to find it, but it was something about, I think your city judge was LSU tickets and something else in some town somewhere off, and somebody made a response that sent it. They was like, oh, good. Oh, great. The city or the parish taxpayers are going to be able to save some money. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and I got to find that in a hurry.
It's more money that we're going to be able to save. I don't remember where I saw that, but somebody sent it to us. And God, where is that? I thought that was absolutely hilarious, especially knowing the numbers that I know. I mean, so would y'all find it egregious if between both Parkses, the city judge Parks and Juliana, that they were per year spending over $20,000 per year, between the two of them for travel expenses? Would y'all find that egregious?
What the hell are they doing?
$20,000 per year between the two of them. I think the number's higher than that, but
well, even if it's lower than that, to do what? What does a city
agree.
judge need to travel for? We have this thing called the internet. If he needs to look up some legal stuff, there's this thing called the internet. And, even old school law books. And the same for the police jury. What the hell?
I'm just, I mean, look, maybe Langley of Langley Parks, did he say anything about that at that charter commission meeting, about limiting the city judge's expenditures and all that stuff? Because, I mean, I think there's something regarding the city judge in the charter, right?
Yeah, there is. Oh, wait, that would mean she might have a conflict of interest, kind of, sort of, but that's a whole other point. Maybe.
Wait a minute. It just dawned on me. Does anybody that has reviewed any of the changes to the charter, did y'all see anything that changed regarding the city judge or the city marshal? Did y'all, or maybe the city attorney? Did y'all see any changes in the charter regarding those offices?
No, they're probably just going along hunky dory.
I don't think I saw any changes. How odd is that? I don't think I saw any changes or amendments to the city charter regarding those issues.
But I've got to say, so I'm paraphrasing here, but it was at one or two charter commission meetings ago, Vicki Whitman told us, because I think, was it you that raised that point, or somebody raised that point in the meeting? And Vicki
it's
Whitman
a little further.
Oh, is it in our notes? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It's in this video. It's in this video. We just got. I don't think I marked that, but where we just left off, we got to keep playing. I mean, because y'all are going to love this.
Yeah. All right. So let me switch back. All right. Here we go. I'm just going to hit play.
Yeah, we're quiet, everybody, please. Okay. Is there any other comments from the public?
Oh, round two.
Oh, look at who is that coming up to talk?
Well, I must have been full of energy that night.
2208 Hickory Ridge Drive. So first, I just want to clarify, are we falling under open meetings laws or not? I mean, it's a little confusing because we have an attorney that sometimes he's an attorney and sometimes he's not.
It's not confusing, with all due respect.
Sometimes we follow Robert's Rules of Order. Just a second while I'm
Okay,
speaking.
you go ahead. Go ahead.
Sometimes we follow Robert's Rules of Order, sometimes we don't, and sometimes we follow open meetings laws, and sometimes, well, we don't have to, so we won't. So which is it?
Mr. Moncrief, I can tell you what it is. Every single time we followed Robert's Rules, which is a baseline set of rules, and what I told you is, we don't have to comply with the open meetings laws, but we have. And we did today, and we have done it for every one of these meetings, and I am proud of that fact.
Paging the AG's office.
Every one of these meetings has been streamed since the very first one, and we've posted every one of them. Every one of them is available, and every agenda has been posted timely. We have complied with the law over and above. So yes, we are.
Okay. So which law is that in the open meetings laws that allows for secret ballots?
Oop, drop the mic.
You're a pin drop. Can I drop the mic? That'd be cool.
Mr. Moncrief, as I explained
Which
to
one
you,
allows for secret ballots?
well, that issue has been presented
And
to the
where
AG.
is that in Robert's rules?
Mr. Moncrief, it's in Robert's rules, and
And where is it in the law?
I just read to you that the
Does that
exceptions for this
comply
group,
with the open meetings law?
it does comply. And that issue is at the AG's office right now, and when the AG speaks on it, then you can take that from the AG.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Stop the press.
What? Hold up. He said when the AG makes the decision. So, okay, look. I got to tell you, Rex. I believe what he's saying.
Oh, really? Do you?
He said, look, he said the AG has that issue, and when they make their decision, I mean, I think I agree with him. I think I agree with him. If the AG says, then we need to follow it.
But what if we had a copy of that open meetings complaint and we could show it? And what if they were ignoring?
Okay, don't get carried away here.
Okay,
Don't get carried
okay,
away here. I mean,
okay.
he said if the AG says, then by gosh, the AG says. So you just need to let the video play and then hear the next argument that the princess makes.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let me get back to it.
But look, he said what the AG says. We're going to let the AG decide it. Right?
Okay,
I mean, am I making it up? Is that not what I just heard?
It's his words, not yours. Not mine.
He said.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, that's great. But just so I'm clear, secret ballots are okay. You don't have to follow open meetings
No,
laws,
sir,
and you
that's
can
not
follow whatever
correct.
rules you decide.
That's not
Is that
correct. And Mr. Moncrief, the AG and yourself and anyone else has recourse if they believe that open meetings laws were violated. The AG has that issue right now, and the AG will respond. And I'm going to let the AG speak to it.
Okay, so that brings up another point. Y'all are worried about the charter, the term limits being because somebody was reported to the ethics board, and that might be a problem. But you're not worried about the current complaints with the AG's office and the ethics board. So here we go again. Thank you.
Because I don't think there's any merit to the complaints, and I believe that's what the AG will say. I wouldn't be moving forward if I thought there were merits to the complaints. Anyone can make a complaint. If there's no merit to them, you move forward.
I love taking on two attorneys at once. It's fun. Uh-oh. Did we get sued already?
No, not yet.
Damn
it. Someone sent me a message in reference to see you next Tuesday. But that's not, I can't say, wait a minute, I did say that, didn't I?
Oh, no takebacks. It's a live show, dude. Damn it. We're going to be in trouble again.
Somebody else has sent me something about, do y'all ever attend school board meetings? Please come.
Yeah.
Anyway, so many comments. Keep playing. You stopped it. It's need to be playing.
All right, here we go.
You're killing the moment, folks. Listen to this.
Stay with us, folks.
So Richard Ray was saying we need to be listening to the AG's opinions.
Please.
Right.
Just in response to some of the comments that were made, I did want to address the other commissioners. I'm not sure that everybody, general public people know this, and so the reason I'm kind of adding it here is
You
just to kind of
people.
let you know what an AG opinion is. It is set up because you have people who are in government who may need the advice of an attorney, and they may not, like we said, we don't get paid for this, right? So how are you going to afford that? And so that you can request an opinion from the AG's office, and they have attorneys there who provide an opinion on the law for you. That does not create law. It's not a statute. It's not the same as a judge opinion. It's simply the opinion of an attorney, just like the opinion of Mr. Ray is another opinion of the attorney on the applicability of the law. And if you look at the AG opinions over, the years, different attorney generals have different opinions about how to interpret the law, and that's why you go to court to get an opinion that becomes law from the judge. However, an attorney general opinion itself is not law. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands the purpose of those and how they affect the application of the law.
So she is saying that you can't put no weight into an AG opinion, yet Richard Ray was just saying we will wait before we put weight. We'll put the weight into the AG opinion.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can't have it both ways, guys. That's what I was
Well,
talking about, the cheap
they-
parlor tricks that they do.
they just had it both ways,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
I don't know that it gets any more crystal clear to the public that they were having it both ways.
Well, and look, that's what I try to tell people. Don't be intimidated by them. They're just attorneys. They're just elected officials or bureaucrats, as the case may be. Don't let them intimidate you. Don't be afraid to get up there and speak. However, have a pretty good idea what you're going to say before you go and try to anticipate what their responses may be. The truth is, they don't have to answer any of the questions legally under open meetings laws. They just have to let us comment. So I will say it's fun to engage them, and they would do better just to shut their mouth. But of course, the princess can't stand it, and Richard Ray can't stand it when you call him out for his stupid buffoonery and cheap parlor tricks. I mean, this is like a Empire Strikes Back deal.
I don't know what to say, but what I would say is that this charter commission, they didn't have any intention of hurrying. They've had an intention of hurrying now. You and I, we know we live this every day. We eat, sleep, and breathe it. We know the why, and in totality, we know that the whole purpose, and Shane Cheatham stated this in one meeting. It may have been the meeting that he got up and he just walked out. The whole purpose of this charter commission was to stop retroactive term limits. That was the whole purpose. That was the reason. These people can admit it. I mean, I would have more respect for all of them if they were just honest and just admit it. And, you know, we haven't talked about Judas. We haven't talked about Judas.
No, we have not.
Because, and we got to talk about that. And
let's get biblical, folks.
Judas Jeter. Judas Jeter. The term limits guy who supported our efforts that never turned in the first signature for term limits. I mean,
wait, I'm shocked.
Judas Jeter.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
He was there for the press releases. Judas Jeter was there for the press releases, but show me and the term limits petitions that were turned in to the registrar of voters where he had submitted a that he was a witness on the signature. I don't recall seeing it. I don't recall ever seeing not one.
Careful, you're peeling back the curtain here.
So I don't care. I don't care. So this guy just enabled Judas Jeter. You're the smartest guy out there, okay? You're the guy that just enabled all of these, and I'm going to use my word, jack wagons. You're the guy that just enabled all these jack wagons to do what they just did. Are you going to publicly own it that you were mistaken? Because unless you publicly own it and say that you made a mistake in trusting all these people to enable them to continue to do the business, which enabled them to try to stop the term limits movement, you're dead to me. You're dead to me because you only did what you did, and everything you have done has been for your own self-interest. I want you to know, Judas Jeter, I want you to know, if you seek to represent us in government in any way, shape, form, or fashion, I personally am going to go out and I'm going to campaign against you, and I'm going to walk and campaign against anything you ever try to do, because you've only done things and taken action for your own self-interest. You haven't listened to reason. You enabled these people to kill or work against or try to end the people's petition. You were told that. You trudged forward anyway, in spite of that, because you're smarter than every freaking body else. So if they are successful, it's on you. You own it. You're the guy. You're the guy. So
Well, you're not going to have any trouble beating him walking the neighborhoods because he doesn't walk the neighborhoods.
Well, you're damn right on that. You know, have some self respect and apologize to the citizens of Bossier. Apologize to them because you're the freaking guy that cut all of their throats. You're the guy that did it. Judas Jeter. I'll stop right there because I ain't got nothing else to say. And look, nothing I'm saying here, guys, is any surprise because the first time he cut our throats, I called him and told him. I personally called him and told him, and I ain't spoke to him again since, and I won't speak to him again. I got nothing to say to him. To me, he is a Judas to the people of Bossier.
I agree. We had it right with our show that we did on that very fact. Except I called him Benedict Arnold, but principally the same thing. All right. Let's talk about, is there some more that you want to do on the Charter Commission updates? Because I'm pretty much done.
There's nothing else I want to do about it. I mean, guys, the bottom line is they're trying to rush a charter vote to y'all, and they'll end up arguing that it's a new charter, and therefore, if the petition makes it through the legal hurdles, that was on an old charter and it doesn't apply anymore and it can't be enacted. If they're not successful there and our people's petition makes it through, they're going to take us to court and fight us and say that it's unconstitutional. No matter what, they're going to fight in every way, shape, form, or fashion. And it's all about, and make no mistake, Vince Maggio is 100% on board of enabling Jeff Darby, Jeff Free, Bubba Williams, and David Montgomery to serve as councilman and control Bossier City and Bossier Parish politics to infinity and beyond. Forever. No changes. That's the goal. And you know what? If you want to stand with them, by all means, you stand with them and you stand with Vince Maggio. But what you need to know is there's elections coming up, and the only
have
people
consequences.
The only people who have stood solid, and there's only 3 names you need to remember. There's only 3 names: Brian Hammonds, Chris Smith, and Tommy the Chandler. You know, Tommy's got his faults, but Tommy has stood firm on term limits. And look, make no mistake, the GOB network, they're going to put a slate of candidates up. They're going to try to deceive you. Look, they're going to say this, Rex, mark my words. The GOB candidates are going to say, I support term limits. They're going to run a slate of guys that are going to say, oh, it's coming. I'm for term limits. They're going to vote. I'll bet you Maggio is going to say, oh, yeah, I'm for term limits. I voted for term limits. I bet he'll have mail pieces that are going to say, I voted for term limits. And it's going to base it off of what this charter commission sends over to the council, which will probably be the next council meeting. They'll vote for it, and then he'll have a push card and a mail piece that'll say, I voted for term limits, which will be their version, which would they sit out a term, then they can run again. They can still run for 20, 30, 40 years, however long they're alive to be able to do it.
Yeah.
He's going to say it.
And continue to run our debt up exponentially. You're absolutely right.
Oh, yeah.
It's coming.
Look, you and I both know, so just so y'all know, we got a report, and I don't even remember where it came from, but it came through Proton Mail. I think that was where it came through. That I think it was something to the tune of, I'm going to use a percentage to describe it because I can't remember the exact numbers that we used, that almost 50% of the money in Bossier was used to pay debt. Is that
Oh,
Do you remember that?
it was quite a large number to pay the debt that Sadow and the Colonel and a lot of folks have been griping about for a long time. Keep that in mind, folks. You know, we all gripe and complain. It's real easy about the federal government. That's, $6 gajillion or whatever the federal government's in debt. But it starts here at the local level too, and Bossier has got a lot of debt. Don't let people forget that. It's easy for people to see. Hey, what do you say we go out of here on a slightly positive note this time? We have something to share that I forgot about sharing during the show until Cassie reminded me.
All right, Rita Hathaway just made a post, and here's what I would say, Rita. When it comes to the AG's office being responsive to the public, uh, I don't know if you're a part of the AG's office. I'm sorry if I apologize if I know you and I'm not recognizing your name. But what I would say is that currently, my opinion is that the AG's office is not as responsive to the public as what it should be. Perhaps they're overwhelmed. Perhaps they have a lot going on. I do know that they're contending with a lot of things, but I would just say that I don't find the AG's office, and I'm not calling out Liz Mayoral. I'm not. I'm just saying the AG's office in general. I don't know that the AG's office is as responsive legislatively to matters that the public brings to the attention of the AG's office as what it should be. It should not be the crutch of local governing bodies and officers and elected officials. It should be more accessible and responsive to the needs of the public. And I'm probably going to piss off a lot of people with what I just said and did. I don't care. Um, but it's the God's honest truth. And I can give you examples to back that up. I have proof.
Now,
Um,
I will say, because we've got a couple of comments here, one from Wes that says RS 4225 says the AG shall, upon written complaint, enforce the provisions of the open meetings laws. D.D. White Clark says Liz said we'd have to sue the police jury to get commenting turned back on their social media accounts. Now, I will say the AG's office under Jeff Landry was very responsive and very instrumental, obviously, in the Robert Berry situation. But again, that took years to unwrap all of that. And there was a plan for that too. I'll just say that. So I don't know.
Jeff Sadow says, I've been waiting on an AG opinion on the Bossier Police Jury, serving as the library board for 11 months. You know, Jeff, I'm glad you made that post because you are absolutely correct. I think there is a disconnect. I think it needs to be brought to the attention of somebody, and I have a high degree of confidence that after this show, it probably will.
All right. Let's see. What else shall we talk about? I was going to take us out on a positive note, but that wasn't exactly positive.
It's not. I mean, look. I mean, even good government is not always positive, and
it's usually not.
Even the good people in government, they are so focused on a target, and sometimes some of the little things fall through the cracks, and sometimes you've got to what?
I'm not even putting that comment up. Look, we normally do not moderate comments. I may change that rule.
Well, hey,
saying.
I'm going to say this. Hey, look, Acadiana Mortgage of Louisiana, we do home loans for people in Bossier Parish, and you know what? We don't do kickbacks or pay realtors to refer business to us. We don't do that. You should ask every realtor whether or not, they received a kickback or not. You should ask that or not by telling you to go to this mortgage company or that mortgage company. But what I can tell you is that Acadiana Mortgage, we don't do that. So, there. If you need a home loan or you want to refinance, you should consider talking to us because you know what? We're honest.
That is true. And so the same person from YouTube says, got a comment on here so the city doesn't see my name and cut off my water. Surely you wouldn't think that our city folks, our benevolent overlords, would be vindictive and take action against any of us that have been stomping on their toes for the last couple of years. Surely that would never happen.
Yeah, that's right. But again, let's go back. I mean, I don't even know how to pronounce that. FL4NK
Flankenstein?
Flankenstein. Okay, Flankenstein. That's how we'll
Ah,
say that. Flankenstein. I mean, look, as we've pointed out in previous elections, this show and our audience, I mean, granted, we have a great following and we appreciate the following that we have and the people that pay attention. But it's not enough of a following to affect the outcome of an election. I mean, we know that. We acknowledge that. And that's not the purpose of this show. The purpose of the show is to inform.
Yeah.
But to anybody watching this, I mean, don't be deceived to think that just because you hear it on here, that the majority of the electorate hear it or are informed enough to make a decision. It's incumbent upon everybody watching the show to go out
and do your part. Let your neighbors
do
know.
your part. You got to share it. You got to share the information.
Yeah. And do your own due diligence. Don't take what we say for the gospel, like Miss Jerry did. Show up at the meetings, ask your own questions. See for yourselves. And if we're right, we're right. And if we're not, we're not.
Okay. I got a question for Flankenstein. I'm trying to think. Were they Terran or Zerg?
Terran, Zerg. That must have been when I was not being a gamer. One other thing, squirrel moment. Colonel Crockett reminds us the school board meeting is Thursday, and I think if I'm correct me in the comments, Colonel Crockett, they're supposed to be potentially discussing the roll forward, roll backward, roll in the middle, whatever kind of stop, drop, and roll they're going to do. Is that correct? StarCraft reference.
Yes. Of all people, Weston Marriott knows the reference. How about that?
Yes. But he didn't get my do not be deceived reference, which would be Lord of the Rings.
I didn't get that one.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, look, I'm just one vote and that's all I can do. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jerry. But your lips can talk to other votes and you can inform other people and you can tell them your opinion. I don't know what your opinion is. You watched what we've put out there. You've watched what we've talked about. You saw the video yourself. You heard the words yourself. You have formed an opinion. Whether Zerg, whether that opinion, I don't care what that opinion is. What I care about is whether or not you share that opinion and whether you share what you learned and what you heard, not twist it, but you share it. That's the point, is informing everybody in the public. And again, like we said earlier in the show, or I said earlier in the show, I was saying, I can sit down with a person who I think, Duke Lowry, that I think they're morally corrupt. I can sit down with them and still have a conversation about, policy and debate them. I can still talk to them. Regardless of what my formed opinion of them as a human being is, I can still talk, and I will. But I'm still going to share my opinion as I go out there. And if that person who I've already have a formed opinion says that they agree on something in policy, I'm going to share that with somebody, and that may or may not make them vote for them or vote against them.
Well, look, just like we've always said, you and I don't always agree either. I mean, we do obviously think along the same lines on most subjects, but there's some things that we don't agree, and we'll have spirited debates, but in the end,
Yep.
that's okay.
I don't think people believe that you and I disagree. I don't think they believe that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Let's pick something real quick.
Okay, Haughton debate. Haughton Proud says, "What about the Haughton debate analysis?" Because we didn't talk about that.
Oh, we
You
sure
know,
didn't.
okay,
Okay.
I know the perfect thing for us to talk about.
All right, let's do that.
Okay, a shot was thrown at bossierwatch for us taking a question from
Oh, yes.
somebody who was allegedly a part of one of the campaigns
Yes,
that
but the person who took that shot, and he is in the comments and knows who he is, the person that took that shot failed to reveal that he was helping one of the other candidates. And in all fairness, I couldn't have thrown a bigger softball up on the scoreboard or up to home plate for either or all three of the candidates. Wait, what we have? Yeah, three candidates, sorry, to knock it out of the park with that softball question.
Absolutely, I agree with that. I was oblivious to the questions, and I'm not taking that I'm not taking that as a check out of the question of whether or not we were biased or unbiased or whatever. I'm not taking that out of the equation. Me, I would not have taken that question. And the reason I wouldn't have taken that question, because I feel like I would have recognized that name, known that person had a bias to one of the candidates in the race. So I might not would have took that question. But that would have been the disagreement that you and I would have had.
Yes,
And
because
I can't know your calculation. I can't know
So
your calculation.
So let's
But
air it out right here and now. I knew good and well who asked the question. I knew his relationship to one of the candidates because I've known Jay Harrison for many, many years. Now, we're not best friends. We don't go out to eat to dinner, but I've known him for a long time. I know what he does. And the reason I didn't do the second part of his question, but the reason I did the first part was it was a valid question. It was literally a softball for all three of the candidates to knock out of the park. If Wes or anybody else had wanted to ask a question, well, I asked multiple times in the comments and let everybody know, put your question in there and start it with the word question so I can search it. Guess what? Was not done. And there were several questions in the queue that were personal questions, and we didn't feel that was appropriate to ask because they were attacking one candidate or the other directly. And we wanted the questions to be more generic for the users. So I waited to the last to answer that to see if anybody else was going to bubble up some questions, and he never did, except for the snide comment that he put in there.
Okay. But what I would say, I wouldn't have took it because I knew no matter what, somebody would have thrown that out there. But you made the decision, and that's fine. And I would acknowledge that that's a fair question. Any candidate running for at least the leadership role of any city should be able to answer a question. And somebody said, what was the question? Anybody that runs for,
it was about economic development.
Regarding economic development, regarding a city that they're wanting to represent and be the number one in charge. That's a easy question for anybody. They should be prepared for that regardless.
Yeah.
So it wasn't an out of bound question, but was it a question that maybe say that candidate had prepared for, and by virtue of taking the question from a person who may or may not have been, but known to us as a surrogate of that candidate, could he have prepared for that? Well,
look, you forget what I used to do.
They all should
as part of my living.
Should be prepared for that candidate, that question.
Absolutely. So I waited to the last, and if I know the kind of questions Jay is capable of asking, and he didn't ask any of those. I kind of half expected him to, but he didn't. And he asked a legitimate softball question. That's why I displayed it. and we asked the candidates, and 2 of them did a good job of answering it. And arguably all 3. I won't say which is which, or we don't want to. Well, I don't know why we're not throwing our bias into that, because we throw it into everything else. But we want to give all the candidates a fair shot. Not that we can sway an election or whatever, but that video is several thousand views now. So obviously, people are paying attention to that debate, and I think that's maybe the first mayoral debate for mayor of Haughton. I know it's the first streamed.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I think doing these debates are. I mean, look, and somebody asked me, they said, shouldn't it be the Republican Party, or shouldn't it be the Democrat Party, or shouldn't it be the parties that are doing the debates, or somebody like that? And and I say this as the chairman of the Republican Party. I'll say it this way. There are some limitations to the parties doing the debate, whereas we come at things from a different perspective. We don't, granted, we're limited government. We slant, I fall on the right side of things, but when it comes to these debates, we're not doing it from the perspective of right or left. We're doing these from the perspective of neutrality. Whereas if it was the Democrat Party or the Republican Party doing the debates would be fashioned towards right or left. And that's not truly neutral.
I think if you go back and look at any of the debates that we have done, and you have done a superb job of moderating them, let me say too, because that's not an easy task at all. But we have tried, we remove our bias from those debates. We're very biased every Tuesday night on a regular show, but those debates and the interviews that we do, we try to be, we'll inject our bias and questions and hard questions, but we try to be fair, number one, in the debates and interviews. And in the debates, we try to be fair and unbiased.
And that goes to our belief completely, 100%, that the public needs that to determine, who to elect in these elections. We don't need to steer it one way or the other, and
Right.
we need to allow that. But the only way they can do it is they got to have a forum that it can be presented in a neutral way, and people can form their own opinions. And that's why we do it the way we do it.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of criticism.
Well, that's okay, and that's fine. If somebody doesn't like it, they can do their own debate. But Wes has a good comment here. The debates were a huge service to the voters of Haughton. I don't think they have ever had a more transparent look at the candidates running. I think overall it went really well. Even our Flankenstein here says that debate made me really like Larkin as a person, but definitely going for Hunter Tim. So I would encourage, even if you're not from Haughton, go back. We did it Thursday night. We did it live from Haughton, and then uploaded to Twitter and X afterwards, and did the podcast, the whole deal. We did the podcast version too. So go back and listen to that, because it's a really good insight. The format was the candidates presented the questions, or turned in the questions, and then Duke, you did the moderation and asked those questions back to the candidate. So it was a really interesting and really cool format that works pretty well. That's been your deal all along, is doing the moderation and the format.
So I'm wondering, how does everybody think the debate between Tommy Chandler and Vince Maggio is going to go?
I'm trying to be
Okay,
nice. We were just singing Tommy's praises for term limits.
We appreciate everybody watching tonight. I hope it was informative, and I just look, I encourage y'all to tune in next Tuesday. We'll have some really good content, and who knows, if something happens between now and Thursday, we may even have some more good content.
Let's All right, so now we have officially done the Haughton Mayoral debate. Go back and watch that. It was show 226 from Thursday night. It's 2 hours. Really good content. Let's end this because I need to go get some dinner, but I do want to end it because we need to talk about our friend Kyle Schultz. As everybody remembers, he was fired from his job for sending a personal email to a bureaucrat, and we all know that story. You can go back and watch the shows and all that and see the little videos we put out. But
if you're new to the show, that was the Princess Juliana Parks.
Oh yes. So I'm going to share this out now. Before I do, I want to put up this disclaimer. Normally we don't do this sort of thing because we've just always been very, very selective and very neutral in promoting other content for a reason. And that's because then everybody would ask us. And if we have to tell somebody no or something like that, that's hard to do. But
we're taking sides, and we're the bad guys, and just we're trying to be informative on politics and all that stuff.
But this does have a political angle because Kyle lost his job, and I need to get him to text. Kyle, if you're watching, text us and let us know what your status is right now. I don't think either one of us talked to him in a couple of weeks, but I do want to share this out. So apparently Kyle and his wife are going to have a newborn baby. It looks like October the 20th of this year is the expected arrival date. So we would ask you to, we'll post a link to this in the comments and on the Facebook page, but we would ask you to go over there and take a look at their baby registry. And if you feel so inclined to help Kyle and his wife out, pick something out of the baby registry for them, and just little things like that would help them out greatly. All right.
Juliana, I would encourage you to go on there and do the same.
Yeah, we challenge you, as a matter of fact, to do this. And again, we'll share this link out on the Facebook page and in the comments. Probably share it out on the YouTube page. I think I can do that too. And again, even if you just buy a $10 deal or whatever you can afford or whatever, just let us know. All right. Or let them know. Anyway, buy the stuff. It's getting late. All right. Anything else, Mr. Lowry?
I am done. We have beat this pig to, bacon.
This week it's a dog, a cat, or a goose, or a duck.
Oh, that's right. Look, in the spirit of the Haitian, we don't eat people, we eat cats and dogs.
Yeah. Hey, watch your pets.
Look, Jeff Darby, if voodoo is your thing, we want to bring it here. Let's get it here, baby.
Hide your pets, folks. We'll see you next Tuesday. Oh, I got blast it.
Voodoo to Bossier, baby. Bring it.
See ya.